Welcome to the next episode of the podcast. We haven't done one in a little over a month.
Yep.
And there are two reasons for that. The first reason is just us trying to find the time to get together, meet up in my basement, right? And podcast.
Let's just call it the studio from now on.
The studio.
The studio.
The second reason, Kevin had a vasectomy, okay? Kevin went to the doctor, a penis doctor, okay? Urologist, right?
Yeah, I think more of a nut doctor in this case, but nonetheless.
Okay, so he went to a testicular doctor.
Fair.
And Kevin already has 3 kids, okay? And I'm envisioning this in my head. You rolling up to the doctor and you calling on the phone and be like, hi, my name is Kevin and I'm interested in a vasectomy, okay? First of all, how you came up with the testicular fortitude to have the bravery to go, you like that? To have the bravery to go get your testicles like snipped off or your balls snipped off, whatever that happens. Okay, how you came up with that internally before you even made that call, dude, I dread ever having to make that call. So secondly, next to...
Hold on, let's take a step back a bit. You think I'm testicless now? Is that...
No.
That's what you just described.
Well,
I want to make sure you understand how anatomy works.
I know that...
Changing the podcast, we're going to talk about basic health.
I know that they just snip something that shoots semen out into the world, right? That's pretty much what happens. But how you came and how you generated the internal fortitude to make that initial call, right? Probably you're tricked by your wife. She probably said, listen, we're done. We'll never have sex again if you don't do this, but whatever. And then after making the call, I'm thinking to myself, I don't even know what to say, right? Like I couldn't even utter those words. I'd like to get a vasectomy. So tell me how this happened. First of all, like what was the genesis of this? And then like, we're going to talk a lot about jiu-jitsu, I promise guys, but how did this all happen?
Well, as you mentioned, I have 3 children.
Yes.
And after the third one, I went, we can't have this happen again.
2 boys and a girl.
2 boys and a girl, right? None of which who sleep at night.
Okay.
Okay. It's been a rough couple of years. So it was, how can we resolve this? And what's the easiest way to resolve it?
So that was the catalyst of you proceeding with the vasectomy idea.
Yes.
Okay. So I need a little bit more information. Guys, I am terrified of this concept as a whole. As far as I'm concerned, as much as I make fun of Kevin for about everything else in life, this dude's a hero. This guy right here is a hero, okay? So he's not doing jiu-jitsu, by the way, for a couple weeks, I'm assuming?
Yeah, at least 2.
At least 2 weeks, right. So he got it on Tuesday. He got the vasectomy on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, less than a week.
I shot him a message, and I was like, dude, how's your nuts, right? And what he explained to me was... not gruesome, but he's talking about they're sore. He's talking about his nuts hurting, and like he's lounging around the house, and you know his wife's taking people around and taking the kids around to all of their things because he needs to lay down. So, walk me through the process of the initial. I don't know what the medical term is called, but the initial meeting with the doctor where he's like evaluating your nuts to make sure that you're like a good candidate for laser cutting or whatever happens. What happened? Did he like touch you?
Oh yeah. So okay, we're gonna go for this way.
I'm curious.
Yeah. So we I get there, right? Just like a regular doctor's office.
Okay.
You know, they ask a couple of questions.
Is the nurse a girl or a guy?
The nurse was a girl.
Okay.
So we'll get to that
Attractive?
one. She was all right.
Okay. Carry on.
Oh, just in case she's listening.
You know where I'm going, right?
No.
Keep going.
No. So anyway, so this is beforehand. So I don't remember the first time I probably got my, I got my height, weight, all those kind of things. Similar thing, a doctor checkup. I don't remember.
Did you break the scale?
Almost.
Okay. Carry on.
So anyway, so the doctor comes in and I assumed it was going to be more of a consultation. We were just going to talk.
That's the word I was looking for. The initial consultation.
And I thought that it was just going to be a talking about it. And are you sure you want to do this? Blah blah blah. So he asked those general questions,
right?
And that's all I assume it is. It's early in the morning, and he goes, "Drop your pants." And
wait.
I wasn't ready for this.
Before you carry on, is that really like his segue? Like where his bedside manner is like, okay, now we're at the point in time where I get to take a look, or is he like? Drop your drawers,
bro.
Well,
it was probably a cross in between there.
Okay.
Right? He had good bedside manner, really, really personal guy.
Is he an attractive guy?
I don't know.
I mean, he's
a little older. He's not an unattractive guy.
Okay.
Right? You know?
He's wondering, for your sanity, right? How that works out.
Yeah. Yeah. He wasn't a troll, I'll tell you that much.
Okay,
right?
Got it. Carry on.
So anyways, so he's talking, he's asking the question, and then he goes, well, drop your pants. And so we got to that section, and I went, oh, I wasn't ready for that.
But were you prepared for this moment, like as you went to the consultation?
No. I wasn't ready for the drop your pants. I thought that was the second meeting. right? I assumed he knows what they look like.
So did you didn't probably do any preparation for this moment.
There was no maintenance for sure. There was no manscaping, right? And this whole coronavirus thing is definitely, not that that really should matter, but somehow that's affected my manscaping in general.
So you were like,
I was unprepared.
taken off guard entirely.
Taken off guard. So I was
Okay.
like,
Got it.
okay. All right.
I'm following.
Which was fine. No big deal, right? It wasn't.
Were you like so far like swampy that it was like, oh my God, like I'm going to have to reschedule my first consultation? Okay, just checking.
I was relatively clean that day. Like I just take maybe jiu-jitsu that I wasn't the night before.
Okay.
I didn't shower in the morning. I would usually shower at night.
Okay.
Especially now because I don't go to work.
Right.
So it was, so I hadn't showered in the morning. I would have showered in the morning had I had known. Not a big deal.
But you had showered the night before.
I believe so.
So you weren't like running on like a 2-day.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't,
all right. Carry on.
So anyway, but it was more, I wasn't ready for it. No big deal.
Okay.
And,
so you weren't concerned when he said that? I mean, I hate to harp on this one moment in time, but when he's like, okay, drop your drawers, are you thinking to yourself, oh my God, were you alone in the room with this guy?
yeah, just me and him.
No nurse?
No nurse.
Okay. Did he have gloves on?
Of course.
Carry on.
They have gloves.
I'm just checking.
Yeah. So anyway,
He might want the touch of your, whatever.
So not a big deal. We've all had the hernia checks and all those kind of things. So not a big,
Whoa. Wait a minute. Not all of us regularly have our testicles touched by a man.
Well,
okay.
but we've all had them in the past,
okay.
right?
Listen,
So
even
anyway,
if you liked it, I'm not judging. Carry on.
Listen, it wasn't bad. So anyway, so he begins to tell me how the surgery is going to go.
Okay.
Right. But he goes to examine it and he's asking me if I have pain while pushing certain places and stuff just to make sure there wasn't anything wrong. And then as he's examining, he's also then telling me what's going to happen, how he's going to clamp, where the veins are going to go. And I'm a pretty much a prude man, to be honest, a little shy, a little bashful kind of guy.
Bashful. Yep.
Yeah. So having another man fondle my genitalia and tell me what he's going to do was not something I was looking forward to that day.
Is he a softer man, or is he like, how do I word this? You know how like the Russian language is really harsh, and
he was not a harsh guy.
Okay,
no.
Okay.
This wasn't like someone from my wife's family telling me.
Yeah. Kevin's wife's Bosnian, so that's a more harsh, language.
People, I mean language.
Yeah. So okay, so he's not like a brute.
Not a brute. Real.
Is he delicate?
So I don't.
Is he like was he like? I mean, if you think of like the more feminine man.
He was he was checking things, so it wasn't like he was like petting them. He was making sure.
Listen, I'm not assuming you were molested at the doctor's office, okay?
No,
I'm just wondering. I'm wondering how the moment is.
I don't know. It was just.
Were there any candles lit?
No,
okay,
there was not. He wasn't overly romantic.
Okay, got it.
So actually, to take a step back, when I originally called this, so I looked for a place, and this was one of the higher rated places that I found.
Okay. So
I called the place, and they said, "Hey, okay, we have two doctors, Dr. A or Dr. B." And I said, she goes, "Which one do you prefer?" And it was the receptionist
Did you ask
lady.
The gender?
No. She told me Mr. and
the doctor.
Okay. They're two guys, and I said, and she goes, "Which one would you prefer?" And I said, "Well, you tell me." And she goes, "Oh, they're both very good." She goes, "Whatever the other doctor's name was older and a little bit more stern." She said, "And this doctor he's got a better," she said, bedside manner. She's like, "Not that the other guy isn't nice, but this guy's a little fun." A little, a little bit. I think a little younger. I went for So I went for the one with a little better bedside manner. No, I know that was the way.
A little more fun.
It was a little more fun.
I want the one who's all about business when it comes to my business. I want somebody I don't want somebody to be fun. Don't joke around about potentially scalping my wiener.
Well, no. He didn't go that far. I thought he was going to do the old. I'll be honest, I'm nervous. He was going to do the blazing saddles thing where the guy he puts his hand like this and he goes, "Oh, steady." He goes, "No, this is my shooting hand." He comes up all twitching it. So. There was nothing like that.
Okay, all right.
But there was.
So he didn't like fake a stroke or anything in the middle?
No. But we'll get into it. So anyway, so I get there. So the day of the surgery, I get there, right? And I have to prep, right? I had to prep beforehand, and I didn't do a good enough.
What is preparation like?
I got to shave.
That's manscape.
Yeah, I had a manscape. Like, all done. Like,
did you lotion beforehand?
No, you're not supposed to.
Okay, got it.
No. Just
especially scented lotions.
Maybe. I don't know. Just clean.
Okay.
So,
like totally shaven, or are you talking about like just trim it down a little bit?
Well, I had to be totally shaven.
Like razor down.
Yeah,
like
essentially.
Straight razor?
Well, no, I didn't straight razor.
Did you like put the hot shaving cream all over your area?
No, that was the problem. So anyway, so I get there.
Like your nuts too?
That's the most important part. That's really where it is. The shaft down is what has to be handled.
Got it.
Because that's where they're operating.
Okay.
And apparently that's because so you don't get an infection. Right? The hair will cause infections and stuff, so that's why you have to be clean.
And knowing that you don't shower regularly is even worse.
Yeah. So it was very dangerous.
Okay.
So
you trained Monday night.
Yeah. So I showered. And I got up in the morning and I showered again.
And when did you proceed with the preparation, we'll call it.
Actually, Saturday. So I started Saturday, right?
Wait. So when you did jiu-jitsu, you were already prepped for this?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
But
Carry on.
It was weird. Actually,
Carry on.
I only I didn't do a very good job, so I had like a mohawk
So
going
you
on.
half-assed it.
Yeah. Then I did it again
Okay.
That night, Monday
Okay.
night as well.
All right.
So it was the 2 sessions for me because
All
I was a
right.
little nervous, you know.
I get it. Listen, I understand. I'm terrified of this. This whole
I'll
story
be honest, I wasn't going to share any of this,
is
but now,
being
now that we're here, we'll just go through the whole thing.
I'm moderately claustrophobic,
Mhm.
and this is worse than that for me.
Oh, good.
Carry
No.
on. Yeah.
So anyway, so I get there, and it's time to get ready.
Okay.
So I assume they're going to put a robe on me. That's not what happens. I drop my pants. Right, so nurse comes in. Right, does everything I need to do. My blood pressure, take my temperature, make sure I'm
Okay.
not sick or anything.
Right.
So anyway, so she leaves the room. She says, "Hey, take your pants off. Put the sheet over top of you." Now, by a sheet, they mean a thin piece of paper, blanket looking thing. Right,
Is
like
it
a paper
like
sheet.
see-through?
No.
Okay.
Gets better. Don't worry. So that's what I do.
Okay.
I do that there, and then the nurse comes in, and the nurse is going to prep me for the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing is, so she comes in, and I'm super nervous, and we all know what that
Rightfully
means.
so.
At least I don't know what anybody else. But when I get nervous, I'm not always having the best days of my day, right? So I'm super
Okay.
nervous. Like, I can't think of the right thing.
Shrinkage.
Yeah, I had a lot of shrinkage. I was trying to think of a funny way of saying it. but
Shrinkage.
That's
Okay.
the shrinkage, right?
All right.
So, and I had a little more than usual. So,
Okay.
as if she was cute, she's not interested in me. So that was
it was like you were 11 again.
yeah,
Got it.
maybe.
Okay.
It's
So
like a frightened turtle.
she wasn't good looking then.
She wasn't bad.
Was she attractive enough to where it could cause an impact to your
I'm not.
area?
No.
Okay,
No.
carry on.
No.
Carry on. Hey, you never know. I'm just asking.
Anyways,
These are my biggest fears. Okay.
no, it's understandable. So you're gonna love the rest of this. So she comes in, and well, it turns out so she puts she pulls the blanket off or whatever, right? And then she has the maneuver. So obviously, I've got the video on, right? So I'm hanging down,
yeah.
right, towards my feet or this way.
Yeah.
So she's got to push it up, put some like cloth, almost the hold my dong pointing towards
So
my
she
face.
saw it.
Oh, she
Did
saw
she
it.
touch it at all?
She had to move it. She had to like move it and like
Did
use this
she
like
have gloves on?
I don't know. Of course she had gloves on.
Did
It's
you?
medical.
So I know that if I was in a situation, I'd be counting this chick's like fingers to make sure she had enough. Because I don't know that I want like some 6-fingered chick like trying to like maneuver
Well, she just
my
got
genitals all around.
moved it out of the way and
was
then
was
put
it
this
like
thing,
did she like fingertip grab it like she was picking up like a dirty
you had to
napkin?
use the little small tweezers because it was hard, magnifying glass.
or was it like a swipe? Did she like reach in like bam and like slap it out of the way?
She
Or
didn't slap it. I know that much. I
Or
don't.
was it more of just a
I'll be honest.
delicate
I'm like laying
replacement?
down, mostly staring up in the air. I couldn't really see her hand movements. I was pretty nervous about the whole thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she moves it out of the way.
So
and,
you're
like,
laying there. The room's
laying
probably freezing.
no, it was actually pretty warm. It wasn't
Okay.
too bad. I told her it was
All right.
cold, but
Of course you did. You had to.
so anyway, so they
Save
like
face
like
a little bit
pull it out of the way because the surgery is on the sack
on your nuts.
on your nuts, right?
You got it.
Or as my son says, the balls.
The balls.
So anyway, so the like literally, it's like some sort of like cloth, like it's just pinned out of the way,
Okay.
and then they put another sheet or whatever over top of you, so it's a paper blanket or whatever
Yeah.
for surgery with a hole in the middle.
Sure, because they need just that
Yeah,
area.
yeah. So there I am with this dark blue blanket over my legs.
Yep.
With a whole area with just my nuts
Can you
fall
see
through.
all of this
Like, if you're laying down on your back, so I can like look down and kind of tell.
and like see like a
Yeah.
circle
So she-
of your nuts?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
just a
especially
stick-
because she prepped me and then told the doctor I was ready. So I had probably 45 seconds to a minute there, by myself as he was coming in. It felt like 10 hours as I'm staring at my nuts through a hole in the blanket that I'm.
All right, I'm starting to hyperventilate here. Okay, I'm starting to get a little bit, like flustered.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's make the rest of this
so
fairly quick.
So I'm prepped and I'm ready to go.
Okay.
And the rest of it was really pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Right, the guy comes in, says you're ready to go. We shoot the first shot of
Does he
Novocaine
show
in there.
you the needle first? Like,
No,
this thing is
no,
going to
no.
enter into one of your testicles.
No,
He doesn't show you first?
No. Anyway, I don't think he did.
Do you think you'd have wanted to see it?
I don't know if I would have cared.
Okay.
Right, it doesn't matter if it's a big or a small needle. It's
It's happening no matter what, right? Big
it
or
wasn't-
small, what's the
I
difference?
wasn't backing out.
Okay.
So we're
A little late.
yeah.
You got a
So-
circle of your nuts hanging
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
fine.
Put the
Okay,
first
so
one
first
in.
shot, how'd it feel?
It hurt.
Like, what kind of hurt are we talking? Like,
It's a
I
7.
got a
It was
bee sting?
No, it was a 7 to 1
Bee
to 10.
sting in
It
the
was-
nuts?
I don't never had a bee sting in the nuts. No, let's say
Neither have I.
it was a let's say a 6 or a 7
Out of 10?
Out of 10. Let's say a 6. Probably
Okay.
a 6. The first one, it wasn't
Did
terrible.
you jump?
No.
Did you have like a moment of pure buyer's remorse on the whole thing at that moment?
No, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't great,
Okay.
but it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
So the first one
So
goes
that's
in.
left side, right side?
Right side.
Right, not okay.
Right area. I don't know exactly.
Okay.
So anyway, so does this thing. He clamps it. He might have to put 2 shots in there, or maybe a little bit more the second one, because I could feel the clamp a little bit. And I think he wanted to make sure when he cut.
Mhm.
I didn't feel the cut.
Oh my
So
god.
clamps it, does this thing. Somewhere in between the first and the second shot, again, good bedside manner. There was some talking going on.
Like to you?
Yeah.
Like he's
and
just-
I was talking to as well
You
because
guys like shooting the shit while
well,
he's
somehow I don't remember how
injecting?
exactly it came up. Not while he was ejecting, while he was operating, which is probably worse. So somehow it came up, and eventually he goes. We were talking about the Ace Ventura movies,
okay.
and
Pet
he
Detective,
said,
yep.
"Which one is which is the better one?" And I said, "Oh," I was like, "This is weird because they came out when I was a kid." So the first one, I was like, "The first one is by music. There's only one right answer." So he already had an opinion on this.
He's probably right. The first one is the best one.
And, it's the first one's
Although
probably
when
the
he
better
climbs
movie.
out of the rhinoceros's ass,
That's exactly what I
gold.
said.
Yeah.
So I said the first one's a better movie, but the second one came out like we were like in 9th grade.
Yeah.
So that stupid humor was so. I've got some fond memories of the second one,
Right.
and especially the rhino scene. But as an overall, it's the first movie.
Agreed.
And
it was Courtney Cox pre like Restylane and
Yeah.
Botox, and Courtney Cox was a dime.
yeah, but we were operating on my genitalia, and he missed the perfect opportunity to go. Nuts are showing. Bumblebee tuna. And I let him know. So I may have contributed to the next person's surgery indirectly.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
he did agree that was a missed opportunity there that he had. So
You should have picked the other doctor.
No,
he
no,
might
no.
not have. He might not have let that slide.
you're right. He might. I don't know if he would have brought it even up if it's true.
That's true.
He might have made the Blazing Saddles reference. I was expecting a little older. So then he hold on real quick.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
get to the other one.
please.
So then when he gets to the second shot, and if I said the first one shot was a 6,
Yeah.
for some reason the second shot was an 8.
Are you feeling these enter into the actual ball or
The
are
shot.
these-
I don't know where they feel. I don't know where he put the shot. He might have put it in my leg or in the. I don't really know, to be honest. I just know I was like, "Ooh, I feel a pinch down there," and then it hurt. It hurt enough that I for the first time I went. I kind of wince anyways when I get shots. The second one, I screamed, not like halai, but I went, "Oh!" And then
Let me tell you why this confuses me. I don't know about you or any of you guys listening out in podcast world or watching the YouTube video or whatever, but I have an almost. How do I word this? I have almost perfect recollection of what my genitalia is and how it feels, right? From years of self-exploration, okay? And for you to not know exactly where a needle would be sliding into your scrotum in some places, left or right.
I guess I don't think just knowing what little I know about the anatomy and the things that they went over.
Okay.
I don't think he was putting it directly into the testicle on the inside, right? I think it's in the sac
So
to
he's like
numb the
a
area.
vein somewhere,
Yeah,
maybe.
or just the area because he's cutting a vein.
Got
so
it.
what they do is you have the vein, they clamp. I think he put a clamp on, so I'm guessing he clamped both sides,
Right.
cut it, cauterize them, and then I don't know if he
Cut and then sewed you
away.
back up. And
Yeah.
put it
throw
away.
it back in there. Put it away.
I heard that a lot growing up. Anyway, okay,
Yeah. So the second shot, believe it or not,
It hurt
even though
the
you're
worst.
oh god, yeah, it was terrible.
so after that happens, is there any more pain throughout the whole thing?
No more pain.
Is it just more like pressure? He's doing stuff,
yeah,
and
you
you're
can
like,
feel that something's
are
happening,
you
but not
uncomfortable from start to finish?
Yes.
As a person, right?
Yes.
Just, you're uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable.
Is he? Are there like other women in the room?
So it was me and the nurse that had to tuck my little penis off to the side.
Okay. So it's you, him, and her.
Yeah.
In the room.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we talking like a hospital operating room? Like
Outpatient kind of place.
I think like that's what I want
Yeah.
for my genitals if they're ever going to get like some kind of surgery,
Yes.
like in a room like that.
Yeah, it's a same
Like
kind
there's heart monitors all around. I want like the whole ensemble.
no, it's more of like a hospital room,
Okay.
not a it's hospital room. But when you go to your checkups, your doctor's room, that's
Yeah.
what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Oh,
Just the checkup room. It's an
always feel
outpatient
like-
kind of thing.
I feel like a vasectomy as a procedure needs a little more pizzazz.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
There wasn't?
I wish we would have went like my kid's doctor has like Star Wars figures on the
Right,
floor and stuff.
right, that's
That
what
would have been way cooler.
Yeah, like
especially a guy that caters the guys. You figured he'd have more of that.
you think he'd do something to make you just feel a little special.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
I mean, okay,
Not ridicule me on liking the second Ace Ventura better.
right. So after all is said and done,
All said and done.
you are buttoned up. Let's call it buttoned up. And let's say that you're given a little more your modesty's returned.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
back to normal.
And
Pants
you're
are on.
back,
We're good.
pants are on, whatever. You
Yeah.
know, you were able to put pants on immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
Like he didn't tell you to wear sweatpants or anything.
I wore sweatpants there.
Just because you're a diligent thinker and consummate
yeah.
professional.
Yeah.
But he didn't like prepare you for that and say, listen, don't wear your tighty whities and
No, actually,
like super tight.
They actually told me that I should wear tight fitting underwear to help with
potential
swollen.
momentum shifts in
no,
okay.
the swelling.
Okay.
To help reduce the swelling.
Okay,
So
so he did
tight
want it
fitting
a little
under.
more snug.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you get home, like, could you have drove home?
I did. I drove home. So I had the plan
You
was
went to this alone?
so the plan was because of the kids at
No!
home. I was gonna call for a ride if I needed it.
Okay.
I was like, but it's such a headache, and I was like, I thought they asked me if I had a ride. I
Wait a
said,
minute,
I
wait a
just
minute.
got to call for it.
Wait a minute.
So
Wait
I
a
just
minute.
drove home.
Oh, pause. You went to this thing, this momentous occasion. There were going to be sharp knives or potentially lasers next to your genitals, and you went alone. Nobody to hold your hand. Nobody to tell you everything was going to be okay. Some nurse just kind of bitch slapped your dong, moved it out of the way, and then you just walk out.
Let's walk out.
Walk of shame back to the car.
Just walk out like a champ,
and
all
you-
alone.
Things happen to you. Okay, moments in time happen.
Listen, you
where-
come in this world alone, you go out of this world alone. I'm getting my nuts chopped off
Wow.
alone.
Okay. No,
You know?
I'm you impress me every moment we talk about this. I just want you to know that. Your
When I
jujitsu's
drove
terrible.
home.
Your jujitsu's terrible, but as a man, you're rising. I wish your picture was higher than mine so you could look down upon me after this story, okay? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I drove home, and that was that's
So,
really it. Uncomfortable for
you-
the first day, semi-uncomfortable for the
Are
second
you
day.
putting like frozen peas or broccoli on it? Just to
Using
keep it-
ice.
like just a normal ice pack?
Yeah, I got one of the ones that you refillable ice
Okay,
pack.
all right.
Let's do hour on, hour off.
How long were you bedridden?
What's it?
Or chair ridden, whatever.
First day,
Like
and I
the
wasn't.
whole day?
I know. I can.
Did he tell you not to lift more than like 8 pounds?
Yeah, I can't remember
Yeah,
what exactly what it was.
okay.
Don't lift. Don't do anything strenuous. Be careful with that. Don't bathe. I mean, I can shower, right? But I can't soak
Don't have your testicles like
because of the stitches, right? Don't soak because of the stitches. Don't lift anything.
Yeah.
I'm I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to inspect anything for like 10 days. Or I got to look at the
right,
paperwork, right? Or
So we're like 22 minutes into
I
this
know, this
exact
was all-
conversation. So
or
as
how much of this is going to get cut?
Yeah, but whatever. Afterwards, you are told in a few weeks you're gonna have to come back and you're gonna have to shoot fire and we'll test how
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
10 weeks. So it takes 10 weeks before they can test, which is nuts. So 10 weeks and they test.
Which is nuts. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay.
So 10 weeks they test. If that test, quote unquote, fails or passes, whatever you want to think of it,
Yeah.
right? I then have to go back in another 2 weeks and then test again and then go from there.
Okay.
So, and then of course, if I
Wow.
fail the test the second time, there's a like 2% chance that it can fail, and then you have to have another surgery. So, but as long as it's under like 0.2% or something, or 2%, I can't remember the numbers exactly.
Right.
Like you're fine, right?
And that's the veracity of your fire that you would shoot.
Yes, exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Exactly. So, but yeah. So it's rare that
So
that
10
has to
weeks.
happen. 10 weeks, but 10, which was the surprising part because I read the
Are you
paperwork
not
ahead of time.
allowed to partake in extracurriculars for that whole 10 weeks? or
No.
You just be cautious about it?
Yeah. It's just like beforehand. I'm not
Got it.
sterile
Okay. Got it.
until.
I'm not infertile
Yeah.
until, got it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think
All right.
infertile is the right word. 'Cause
Whatever.
I'm not carrying the
Not the
baby.
point.
I like
Not
sterile.
the point. Okay,
That's what I'm
sterile.
going
Yeah.
for.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
To
So-
switch topics entirely.
So
Yeah.
we have 10 more weeks before we can hit that stripper nightclub adventure that we
Got
plan
it.
on
Yeah,
going.
yeah. Okay.
The midlife crisis
No,
is really what
gotcha.
kicked this off.
Makes complete sense. Hold on, I'm going to put that on the calendar real quick. Sorry. Okay, switching topics entirely. Did you happen to catch the Who's Number One event that happened on Saturday?
I
The
actually
Jiu-Jitsu event.
I did not. I've
Okay.
been
So
a lot of movies over the weekend.
let me tell you who was in it. Danielle Kelly was in it. We're trying to get her on the podcast. She keeps ghosting me. Danielle Kelly, what's going on? I keep Facebook messaging you. Anyway, she competed, right, in the undercard. Gordon competed. Craig Jones competed. And there were some other people. I forget their names because they're not Gordon or Craig Jones or Danielle Kelly. Okay. After the event, Andre Galvao got bitch slapped by Gordon Ryan. Okay. I saw the video on Flow Grappling. I saw how it all came out. And what you see is literally Gordon Ryan cock his hand back, pachow, and it connected across Andre Galvao's face. Now, there are thousands of men I would not bitch slap in the face. Andre Galvao is probably all 1,000 of them. Okay,
top of that list.
He's there. Okay, there's probably a lot in. I don't even like to say that there's a list, because a list usually implies some kind of order. They're all equal in my mind of who I wouldn't bitch slap. Okay, and twice I believe it happened. Okay, twice, 2 times. So there's been some drama lately. Gordon came out on Twitter or Instagram or wherever he came out, and he was talking shit on some dude's techniques, right? He posted a video with him and his little brother talking about all of the different ways that this dude in the competition could have finished, right? And like he was critiquing, and he was. I like Gordon.
He was shit talking on some high level guys.
He was shit talking on high level guys. Okay. Andre Galvao's high level guys.
Oh, some of his. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so they traded digital blows over the internet.
Makes sense.
And somehow it came out that Galvao wants $1 million to face Gordon Ryan in a competition.
Okay.
1 million smacks. You like that?
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice.
Anyway,
he got 2 of them.
He got 2 of them already. So it was interesting, but I'm really excited to see if this match happens, right? Because Gordon is.
Hold on. I don't give a shit about this match anymore.
Okay.
I really don't anymore. So let me get this.
They didn't throw down, by the way. Like it didn't like.
How do you hit him a second time without something happening? Like what? Hold on. First of all, I want to know: is there any more information on why? Like I'm assuming, Galvao came up, had a little smack talking.
They were jawing each other. Yeah.
And probably said something out of line, or challenged him to do something.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe Gordon has a short temper and he didn't say anything out of line.
Maybe.
But I'm sure they were talking shit on each other.
Yeah.
And boom, smack happens.
Yeah.
Okay. And Andre Galvao took the slap like a champ.
Okay.
His face turned a little bit. He cowered. He had just got slapped by. And Gordon's quite tall and a big dude. I think he weighed in at like 230 or something at this event. He's a big fella, and it just happened again. Like Andre Galvao didn't run, right? He didn't like dip. Maybe he stayed too close to like hands distance, I guess. But they were jawing at each other, and it ended up getting broken up and all of this other stuff. But it was. And this was after Gordon just won.
I haven't seen this video.
No, you will.
I will. But,
you will.
So wait.
And I'll post a link to it, everybody, in the YouTube.
So there was a slap, and then they continued to jaw, and then there was another slap. And then they had to be broken up because then he went in for the.
So these guys were jawing at each other like for a long time. There's a lot of videos on there. I'll post some links to them, but there's a lot of videos, and we can watch it afterwards. There's a lot of videos of these guys, and Gabby Garcia comes running in, right? She's another one who was on the card. She actually lost to Jesus, right? She was a beast, and Gabby's really big, in stature, and she lost a decision, but nonetheless. So Gabby's there, Andre Galvao's crew is there, Danaher's there, with his belt pack on and his rash guard, even though he wasn't competing at all. Kind of comical.
One of those guys. Okay.
Yeah. But
just kidding.
So Gordon bitch slapped Andre Galvao. So we'll twice. So we'll see what happens here in the future. But Gordon had just won his super fight match, right? Craig Jones won. Dude, Craig Jones is a freaking beast, man. The way he sets up. Craig Jones. Fuck Craig Jones.
That's Mike Jones.
It's a going joke. Fuck Craig Jones. Anyway. He used to wear it on his pants. Said fuck Craig Jones, and a t-shirt. Somebody said fuck Craig Jones in like a comment or something. So Craig Jones was like, okay, fuck Craig Jones, and you just wear it.
Fair enough.
Anyway, it was really, really good. It was a good event. You should check it out and see all of the different competitors and things like that. It was a good event. But this is not the topic of the podcast, okay? I just looked down at the clock, and we're like 30 minutes in already. What I want to talk to you about, besides your vasectomy and besides Gordon Ryan, making swift contact with Andre Galvao's face twice in a after Gordon Ryan just won his match, is traditional martial arts. And there's a couple like vectors of conversation I want to have, but one is if jiu-jitsu has proven itself so effective, okay, and conceptually, jiu-jitsu makes a whole lot of sense, right? Self-defense rise and all of this other stuff. Jiu-jitsu just, the training avenues, the training aspect, everything makes sense. Why don't we have more crossover? And why are traditional martial arts still as popular as they are? Okay. I have some thoughts, but let's ask that direct question. What is your thoughts on that? Why are traditional, and I have a big traditional martial arts background, you don't,
No.
but you do take your kids to Taekwondo. So why?
I don't know if it's Taekwondo, actually.
Whatever it is.
I don't know what that guy originally.
Kids karate. We'll
Kids
call it
karate.
whatever.
Yeah.
Why isn't it more popular?
So I'm going to challenge you on that. So
Okay.
we talked, we were going to talk about this, and I was like, oh yeah, it's not that. And then I started taking my kids, and to be honest, my kids are less than a month into this program.
Right.
And again,
Very
I assumed
expensive program.
very,
too.
very expensive program. But so I assumed this was going to be a Taekwondo based.
Okay.
And then, but when I get there, this was the most amazing thing. First of all, it's called martial arts. It's not Taekwondo. It's not karate. They just say martial arts.
Okay.
And I was like, whatever. It's just a marketing tool. So I get there and he's explaining what's going on, and he's talking to me.
How old is this guy?
The guy that teaches class, he's got to be late 20s at least.
Okay.
Right. Him and his brother do it.
Black belt? Does he wear a black
yeah,
belt?
black belt. Yeah, black
Okay.
belt. On the website, he's been a black belt for a long time.
Okay.
So he's an older guy.
Knowing you don't have a huge traditional martial arts background, do you care what belt he is?
Yeah.
What if he was a green belt
No,
and he was the guy talking to you?
I wouldn't care.
No, not at all.
Not at all. No, this is again.
But you do jujitsu and you're a purple belt. You wouldn't have cared?
I'm looking for kids. I'm looking for a kids.
Okay.
So
even if it was a green belt, it doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
You don't know where green belt falls. It could be before white belt. You don't give a fuck.
No.
It's fine.
No.
You know it's not, but of course.
If he's the teacher of the class, I know. And let me give a little emphasis on this beforehand. My son went to that's emphasis isn't the right word, but anyways, we went to a birthday party.
Okay.
At this martial arts school.
Okay.
A
Which,
year
guys,
ago.
happens to be right across the street from
From our
our jiu-jitsu gym.
Yes,
anyway.
yeah. So
Traitor.
I've already seen this guy in action, right? It was
Okay.
at a birthday party, but they
You've
taught it like a
experienced
class.
him.
So I've experienced him. I see
Okay.
how he is. I've seen
Mhm.
the environment that he creates.
Okay.
So I'm like, I already know. So I'm going in there, and that's why we.
And you were
went for this
attracted to it.
Yes,
Okay.
great environment for kids. So I was
Okay.
like, oh, this guy's really, really fun, right? Things that he was showing was good, right? So
Mhm.
it was a fun environment, and that was the main thing. I want to get my kids out with this coronavirus and stuff going on.
Right.
The winter, obviously, the winter's being harsh up here in the north. Just get them outside, get them doing more, right? My kids sit around on tablets and phones and video games all day.
But
So-
walking outside into another building is not getting your kids outside.
That's all I do. They get in there and
Okay.
start kicking, punching.
Okay,
everything.
got it.
So I
Got
get there and I don't care what he's in. So I'm talking to the guy. But anyway, so we're talking and he's explaining what are the things to do. And he doesn't say we bring in stuff from Taekwondo or karate. The first martial arts that he mentioned is Muay Thai,
Okay.
right? And
Does he know what it is?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Did you
Yeah. So anyways, I'll tell you how
did
I knew
you
he
tell
knew
him
it.
that you were a former MMA fighter who has
no, I didn't
dramatic experience and all
I
of
didn't
this?
tell him about the MMA fighting.
Why?
I did. Hold on. I don't tell people about that.
Okay.
So and
Carry on.
I don't need to like puff my chest out at the
No,
karate school.
I don't know
right?
that would be the intention of
It might
bringing it
not
up
be
in
the
conversation.
intention, but that might
but
be. You know what I
it's
mean?
not.
Hey,
well,
you do. Yeah. So
well,
anyway,
after Tuesday, you can't be like, I got a 14-inch cock
Yeah.
because he got cut off. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
so anyway, so that's the first thing he mentions. He mentions Muay Thai.
Okay.
And then he mentions they do some of the ground stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, but that's what he mentioned. He mentioned Muay Thai. So I take the kids for the class.
But you know what Muay Thai is, so
I
you
do.
could tell that he was talking right.
Things I could tell what they were
The
showing.
words
was right.
were correct.
He didn't. We didn't talk a ton about it, but he just
Okay.
talked about it. He asked a lot about, what do we want to get out of the class? Are we looking for discipline? Are we looking for self-defense? A lot of those kind of things.
Okay.
So
What did you answer?
I
want
said
my kids to have fun.
yes.
I'm not looking for any kind of verifiable, tangible skills to develop out of this, other than I want them to have fun and maybe a little discipline.
Yes, pretty
Okay.
much. A little bit
Okay.
different than that. They're looking at tangible skills. I'm looking for active, fun activities.
Engagement in something.
Engagement in something. Yes,
Got it.
I was like,
Okay.
that's the main thing. I was like, it'd be nice to have, especially with my younger son,
Yeah.
having a little bit more, some of the discipline, the standing still. He's at that age, right?
Sure.
That age, it's hard to develop. So,
Okay.
those guys.
So that's what your mission is.
That's what my mission
okay.
is. I'm not looking for my kids at the age they're at now. I don't care how effective it's going to be. I'm assuming it's going to be effective enough, right? As long as it's.
I want to talk about that.
we
but
are.
carry
We
on.
are.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we go back to it. So he does the Muay Thai and they do some grappling. So I go there for the first.
So that's what he says to you: Muay Thai and grappling,
not directly in those words, but he did say Muay Thai right away.
but nothing about jiu-jitsu at all, or grappling in general.
It came up
Or
that,
that
I
came
did
up later?
It came up that I did jujitsu, and he
Okay.
said they did some of it, and I knew they did some groundwork.
Sure.
So I don't remember exactly, but I remember I was surprised when he said Muay Thai. He didn't say
Okay.
Taekwondo, karate, ninjutsu, none of that crap. He said Muay Thai,
Okay.
right? And then so I'm there for the first class that he goes through and
Mhm.
everything else, and they're showing a front kick. Now, obviously, there's two front kicks, right? There's the your front foot kick, where you're the
Right.
teat, all right?
Right.
That's what they call it in Muay Thai. I'm probably
Sure.
saying it wrong. And then
Fine.
there's, of course, the back kick, which is much more power, right? So they get off. They're doing the class, and I don't remember. This may have been during the introductory class. I don't remember. But anyway, so they're doing the class, and all I remember is Eli comes off, which is my older son, and I said, and I was asking him about some stuff, and I said, hey, do you know what that front kick is called when you kick with your front leg? And I go, oh, it's called a teat, right? So if he says that in class, I figured if he asks, you know what I mean, I'm going to give my kid some bonus points, right? And he heard me say that, so he goes, oh, he came over to me. He said, how did you know that? And I said, oh, I've done a little bit of Muay Thai and stuff in my background as well. And he's, oh, okay. So that's as far as we've gotten. He doesn't.
And in reality, would you whoop this dude's ass?
I don't know.
Listen,
I have no idea.
As a man who's walking his two kids into a karate studio, that is the first thing you're thinking about. Could I whoop the instructor?
He is. So here's the problem, right?
Don't care anything about what you're going to say. I just want to know yes or no.
29 to 33-year-old at the oldest, right? You know what I mean? He's in his mid-20s to mid-30s.
Okay.
Guy who works out all the time, right? Whether it's just doing karate and everything else, right?
There are a lot of words for you to tell me if you could wallop him or not.
Listen, I think I can wallop just about everybody that I walk into a room with.
Okay.
Right? I'm a cocky son of a bitch. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Right? I pretend like I'm not. I think I could beat just about everybody in a fight.
Okay.
Like, well, he could beat me in jiu-jitsu, but I'll fuck him up like a punch.
Okay.
That's my attitude.
So you're obviously not one of those guys who thinks I want my kid to learn from somebody who's better than me.
No, I want my kids to learn, right?
Do you?
What's that? Yes. Yes, I want my kids to learn.
But you don't care if you're more disciplined than this guy, because that's really all you wanted your kids to go for was the discipline.
No.
Okay?
I want my kids to go for the activity. Remember, I want them to stop sitting on the couch.
Discipline, right? And
right.
a little self-control,
whatever. I want my kids off the couch.
So
that's why they're going here.
You don't care if this dude's good or not, to be honest.
I care that he's good enough. I don't care if he's good.
What does that mean?
So
what does that mean, good enough?
I hope that he's at, so let's take it to jiu-jitsu level, something we can talk about, right? I am looking for a guy who's at minimum, that blue belt / purple belt level, right? Because that can mean a lot of different things at some schools. You can have some really, really good blue belts, really bad purple. You know what I mean? So let's say I'm looking for a guy who's a good purple belt, quote unquote, good purple belt, who's a great teacher.
Good purple belt at what?
Just at fighting, let's say in general, right? You know what I mean? If you want to talk, he can punch really good.
Even though that's not your mission for sending your kids there to get good at it.
Correct.
So what's it matter how good of a fighter he is?
Because I want them, I still want them to learn correct technique, right? I don't want it to be, I don't want it to learn junk, right? I want them to learn good technique, but I don't care if they can come out like, I'm not looking for them to win a tournament in 6 months or a year or whatever, right? I'm just looking for them to go have some fun and learn some valuable lessons, but also to get their butt off the couch. To get their butt off the couch and then also learn some valuable lessons.
So
right? That's the way I'm going towards.
Being active is priority number one.
Correct. Okay. For my children, and at this age now, yes. So where I'm looking for now is active. So, but the guy's in shape. He kicks. I mean, I've seen him like doing the drills and stuff.
Yeah.
The technique is there. So I'm assuming the technique is there, the timing's there, the power's there. So I don't know. And again, we talk about. I don't know how much real world training he goes through.
Okay.
And we've taled about this a lot. This was a big conversation with Mr. Jiu-Jitsu was a big thing.
Yeah.
Right, where we talked about that, which we're going to talk about a little bit more. Some of the things we talked about there. But anyway, so the guy is he's a solid teacher, right? Good teacher, has good technique.
He's good with the kids.
Great with the kids.
Probably the most important
thing, right?
Right.
So he's fantastic there. And I don't remember where we originally got off on this point here, but so the class is set up really, really great. But I think what we kind of talked about a little bit before is, again, this isn't your traditional, we're going to learn Taekwondo, we're going to learn Muay Thai. And if you're going to talk about fighting and what's been shown as effective, Muay Thai has been shown as probably one of, if not the most effective stand-ups to learn.
Sure.
Right? And they work on Muay Thai elbows. They actually when you get to a certain level, they'll give the kids a face shield so they can help throw the elbows and not accidentally hit each other in the face. They're doing it slower, I'm sure, but it's there. They're teaching the techniques.
So are you sensing any foundation in any of like the traditional martial arts that exist, right? If they're mixing Muay Thai and you said they're doing some grappling, I want to get to later.
Yep.
Are they doing, you did karate for a little bit back in the day. A
couple months.
Is it similar to how that was?
So I think, and I think this will come up a little bit later, but I think it's going to have that, that kids karate, kids taekwondo feel to it. You walk in and it feels like a kids taekwondo, a kids karate class.
Okay.
Right. And it feels that very well. A little bit more. It is definitely a kid oriented class.
Have your kids been promoted yet?
Yes.
How long have they been training?
So let me get what the first promotion is.
Carry on.
So what they do is they put them into an introductory class, right? And this is
that just them alone with the instructor?
No, it's they have one first with them and the instructor, kind of like a
quick little private lesson,
quick little private. Yep. And this first class is just to make sure they can kick and punch correctly. That's really it. right? So they're not a detriment to the rest of the class. So it's a smaller entry-level class.
Well, it shows them the form of holding your fist up and making a fist, shit like that.
Yeah, and you can make a smaller class and have a little more one-on-one so they can do those things, right?
Yep.
So once they can kick and punch okay, they then move to the next class. And again, and you know this from teaching karate or taekwondo, being part of taekwondo
for a long time,
for a long, long time, and especially, starting young and working with kids a lot, which was the big thing, right? They like that, you need that tangible, here's something new, that always something to work on. So once you're done with that class, you test to make sure you can do those kind of things.
Okay.
And then they give you a yellow belt in this case.
Wait.
Eli got a yellow belt.
How many days between him wearing a white belt and a yellow belt happened?
It was about 2 weeks. So here's the thing. So this is what happened timing-wise. So timing-wise, he just happened to start, and they were getting ready to test. And he goes, Eli, he's like, he knows just about everything he needs to know to get to the next belt. He's like, you can have him test now, and if he passes, he'll go to the next class, or you can wait till April.
Okay.
Right? And again, it's just an entry level thing, but he's like, he's actually knows everything. He's doing everything pretty well, right? And Eli's, for as goofy as he is, if you tell him to punch, he can punch. You tell him to kick, he can kick. You know what I mean? So he's not an athletic kid.
Yeah.
He's not unathletic.
Right. He's not you. It's
he's
fine.
not me. Yeah. So anyways, he's not overweight. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He goes outside and plays. Well, no. Right? If you get a lot of kids, he's not.
Right.
He's
a normally active dude.
He's a normally active kid. And I'm usually really against this. But if stereotypes are right, that's less, you don't see that as much as you did when we were kids.
Right.
Right? At 80, 90% of kids were normal kids. Now it's maybe 60 to 70% of kids are normal kids, as we're going to call in that case. Right? So I'm just using percentages there.
No, sure.
Right. You know what I mean? So he fits that there. So he said, if he wants to test, great. And I said, well, all right, let's have him test. No big deal.
Right.
So again, a test doesn't mean anything. He moved up into the next class along with a lot of other kids that start at the same time, and they're doing the exact same thing they were doing in the other class before. So no difference there. Everything's really the same.
So it's not really a promotion as much as it is you're just going to wear a new color.
It's a kid's promotion, right? Which again,
do they get to stand up? Like for the people who are white belts, are they still in the line ahead of them now? I
don't even know if they order in line, to be honest. I think
there's no bowing or anything.
There's bowing. There's bowing to get on. And I think that...
So it's a little traditional.
It's traditional in that sense. There's bowing. They have to say, sir. Like, you know what I mean?
That's respect. Yeah.
It's a lot of that traditional, again, for the discipline.
Formality.
Yeah.
Kinda,
and
okay.
he challenges them to say, yes, Dad, or yes, Bubba, as they call me at home. Right? It's not just yes. So he challenges to bring that discipline home. I remember the first day they said it, one of the things he said, similar like, hey, when you go home, does your parents have to tell you to hang up your jacket, or you just hang it up on your own? And you're like, we hang it up on our own. They were lying.
Sure,
right?
But
now they hang it up on their own, right?
Okay.
Or every time they don't do something they should do, I'll be like, I'm going to tell the sensei or the master. I don't even know what they call them, to be honest. I just tell me I'm going to tell your instructor.
Okay.
So very traditional in that sense. So
did they learn any grappling yet?
Yes.
What was that like?
So my biggest problem with what they're learning in grappling, this isn't a problem. Again, let's go back. It's a kid's class. So let's just go through the structure of the class. They get through class, they get up there, they bow to get in, they do everything else.
Okay.
And then I normally leave because of the whole coronavirus thing, but
sure.
sometimes I guess through the windows. They start off with the punching and kicking. Okay. Right. So they'll show a technique, a punch, a kick, or whatever.
Right.
Right. And then they'll walk through, they'll do the punching, the kicking. And the big thing, this is a 45-minute class. That's it.
Okay.
So you're going to it's wrangling cats for 45 minutes, right? As you know.
Yeah.
So they get in there, so they do their punches, their kicks, they do a few of them, they make it fun, right? They get in the lines and, they do a punch, right? They get in 2 lines or 3 lines, just depending on the size of the class, right? And they're doing the punches and they go back around and everything else. And it's actually, this is what's fun about it. He makes it fun. Like if they do a good job, he gives them a high five and then he puts it up and he makes them give them a high five with their head. So they have to just jump and hit the middle of their head.
Yeah,
so, so they do all those.
That's
right?
fun.
So they get all that. So that's, let's say, it's anywhere between 50 to 75% of the class, right? So they do a couple punches, they do a couple kicks, and then they'll do like a ground move or 2.
Okay. So what does that mean?
So they were just starting, I don't know, maybe a new cycle. So he was going through the basic positions, right? So
like
he
guard,
says,
mount,
guard,
like
mount,
that?
side
Okay.
guard, or side guard. I think that's what he called it, side guard, I think. Or side mount.
If he called it side guard, you should have grabbed both of your kids and walked out the
maybe
front door.
Maybe he called it side mount instead of side control. Maybe he called it side mount instead of side control. So I think he called it side, and I could be wrong, but
listen, you're making my point right now.
No.
With the words you're using,
with the position. So, anyways, what he shows, and again, what he was showing was very.
Is it
basic.
a side control typical over under? Right.
Yep. He showed the typical over under.
Right.
Showed when he did the one I saw, he did the typical.
So
over under.
Could Eli smoke all of these kids in jiu-jitsu?
No. Some of them were big.
So
and
Eli was good, man. When he was in my class,
Eli is good once you give him 3 or 4 weeks to practice it.
Okay.
Right. Eli is.
It's been a while.
He's been a while. He forgets what to do. He's kind of
Okay.
goofy. Right. There's a lot of things that Eli has going against him. Personality wise.
Who his father is.
Yeah, who his father is.
Yeah.
Mother makes terrible decisions, clearly.
So, did you end up talking to this instructor about jiu-jitsu at all?
No.
Not at all.
Not at all. I'm staying out of that.
So, do you care? So, you said you want him to be a good blue or purple belt holistically, right?
Yeah.
What if he's like not even a white belt at jiu-jitsu? Do you care? Does he have any business? Does he have any business showing your kid how to do side guard or whatever? Does he have any business?
He seems like he knows enough to tell the kids what they need to know. Now, can he teach
Is that enough?
for what I'm looking for? Yes. Right.
Okay.
So what I've seen so far, again, right? He hasn't done anything that I was like, ooh, that's wrong. Like, or
Okay.
that's going to get somebody
Okay.
hurt. Right. Or that's way off.
So
Like,
topically speaking,
Yeah.
aside from the guys who make a business at this shit,
Mhm.
right? Like this dude teaching your kids,
Yeah.
and the dude who owns the gym, if they're the same person, whatever. If not, not the point. Why do you think it's so attractive to adults as well, right? Why do you think it's attractive? And let's ignore the families who come in and want to train something with their children because they think that Taekwondo or this martial arts program, quote unquote, might be easier to swallow as them getting off the couch and being active, right? Your philosophy for your
Yeah.
kids, I want them to be
Yeah.
active. Let's ignore those
Sure.
type of people. But the people who are in this for the self-defense, even if they're people who are in it to be active, right? Not
Yeah.
family oriented, but why are the traditional martial arts or martial arts in general, non-jiu-jitsu related, still so freaking popular?
Marketing. So the first thing is marketing, right? And it's not just marketing as they do a better job of marketing themselves, right? Name me the especially go back to the 80s, but think of all the action movies that we watch.
Dude, Billy
Right.
Blanks, right?
I said good action movies. I'm sorry.
no,
I love
no,
me
you
some
didn't
Billy
say
Blanks. You're right. No.
Billy Blanks.
No. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything. I mean, especially
Steven
when
Seagal,
and when we were kids,
my
right?
favorite of all time.
Even if you think of the Jason Statham, right?
Yep, yep.
They're punching,
I think I
kicking.
resemble that guy. I just want you to know that. I think I look a little bit like Jason Statham. I don't have any hair. He doesn't have any hair. He was an Olympic diver. I've never done anything worthwhile in my life. Perfect match. Okay. Anyway.
Done. I see it. I see it right now.
It can't be marketing. It can't be just marketing.
No,
Here's
no,
why.
no.
The UFC has proven that the traditional martial arts weren't as
Sure.
top shelf as jiu-jitsu was.
So hold on. So I think, well, one, if you dive into the history, those guys were kind of set up to fail. But again, you need some grappling
Nonetheless.
approved. Nonetheless, you need
Jiu-jitsu has still proven itself time and time again.
I would agree.
Okay.
So but anyway, so you have the marketing, right? So everybody wants to learn Taekwondo. You want to learn karate, okay? And then so you have that.
Bruce Lee was hugely.
Bruce Lee was huge.
Of course.
But if you watch an action movie, they're punching and kicking,
True.
right? There's a karate kick in
I
there
don't know.
somewhere, a Taekwondo
John
kick.
Wick is shooting dudes in the head and then triangle choking
Sure,
them. Not after shooting them in the head, but when he's fighting them, he's armbarring. He's doing more jiu-jitsu related
You're
things.
seeing more of it come into place,
Right.
Right. But look at the movies that you're watching and stuff
Yeah,
before
yeah,
they
yeah.
get there. Think of the Matrix, right? We're gonna go
Yeah,
John Wick,
yeah.
right? Listen, those kung fu scenes are the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life, right? It translates so much better to the big screen. A kung fu fight over a jiu-jitsu
I can
fight.
understand that.
So-
in the year 2000,
No, it's still
I
the thing.
still don't know that I
You
fully
see it. You see it. You
Everybody
understand
knows what MMA is these days.
Yeah, but-
everybody.
it. No, and a lot of people don't care. So the problem is, so you see all that, right? You see it on the TV, and these groups have a head start, right? So they already have. So the marketing is already out there for their
Sure.
Taekwondo for kids, karate for kids, right? It's almost to the point that karate and Taekwondo. I know it's not.
They're synonymous
No. They're kids programs. Karate schools are for kids, right?
for the business. Yes,
Karate schools
absolutely.
are for kids.
Yes,
For the business part of it.
Yes.
Karate schools are for kids. And no,
the
that's,
majority. Yes.
and that's not a true statement,
no, but
but it's pretty close to being true nowadays.
To generalize,
right? It's a generalized
yes.
statement. Karate's for kids. So you already know that, right?
we
and
actually
it's
have a
already
program
there.
in town called Karate for Kids.
See?
So that's like
Right?
a brand name.
So you already see that. You see that out there. And if you look at the pure number of karate and Taekwondo schools, or you know what I mean, they're all over the place.
Do you think the marketing disillusions the adults though who are in it for self-defense?
Yes.
Do you think they're twicked? Do you think they're I
Well-
said twicked. Do you think they're tricked? Are they swindled
No, I don't think they're being swindled, right?
Why?
And
You think it's a valid self-defense?
I think some of it.
I do
yes.
not think Taekwondo is valid self-defense
I
at
don't-
all. Having done it for a long chunk of my life,
Mhm.
it is not. Listen, one guy, you and I can argue this because we had this conversation before we got here. If Eli took my program for a year and trained with this guy he's training with now for a year, who's winning in a fight?
And so at their age, 9, 10, I'm going to say probably your kid.
Okay.
Right?
No, not my kid, but the same kid trained in both. Who's
yeah,
winning, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
the kid that trained at your school for your kid. I think
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. I think
2 years in.
What's that?
2 years in.
I think your kid.
4 years in.
I think it depends on the kid there.
5 years in.
Right? I think it starts to depend on the kid and then the program.
No, same kid.
Right?
Same kid.
I think it depends on the program. I don't
same
know.
Kid with the same mentality.
I don't know how much the classes change. That's really becomes the problem. So there's reasons behind that.
You think all of a sudden that at like year 3 you're gonna get that dude's gonna walk into you? He goes, dude is like, listen, Eli needs to join my Assassin's Club because in my Assassin's Club I'm gonna teach him things that are way better than Jiu-Jitsu,
No.
and he's gonna be
at
I'm gonna diversify
age,
him so much where he's gonna be better.
Well, we talk about why Jiu-Jitsu is so good.
Yes,
is because of how hard you roll.
Right, the training.
The training. Right? Not the drilling, not the move set.
Yeah.
Right? It's the training.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm going to tell you right now, you can tell me Jiu-Jitsu is as great as you want, but Andre Galvao couldn't stop 2 slaps, let alone a hard jab.
I don't know that he was
twice
sucker punched.
Twice. The first one's a sucker punch. The second one's you got bitch slapped.
Okay.
Right? That's what happened.
Nobody got knocked out. He didn't lose a fight.
What's that?
He might have got clowned. He didn't lose a fight.
He got clowned.
He got
twice.
clowned. He didn't lose a fight.
Yeah.
Different story.
Now let's see. Let's see that guy. Let's see. Maybe if Gordon Ryan did some real training, he could throw a nice right hook. He'd have knocked him out.
Okay,
on cold. So this whole thing, the Jiu-Jitsu is so great and Jiu-Jitsu is fantastic. If we're going to talk about that, why don't we just get a bunch of wrestlers to come and beat the crap out of both those kids? Because that's a tougher mentality. That's a tougher physicality
Certainly.
than I've seen
Why don't
anywhere
your
else.
kids do wrestling?
What's that?
Why don't your kids do wrestling?
My son did.
Yeah.
But then he got into Jiu-Jitsu and liked Jiu-Jitsu better.
Okay, right. Because
it became an environment thing. It was more fun. Even though it was still, if you're going to talk about intensity of the classes, wrestling was a little bit more intense.
Sure.
Right? Just from the kind of practice.
Of course.
Jiu-Jitsu was a little more fun, but a little more intense.
Mm-hmm.
And this martial arts class is a lot more fun. Not a lot more fun, but it's a little bit more fun, less intense.
Okay.
Right? Plain and simple. And it may grow in that intensity.
Back to your comparison, though.
Yeah.
After 5 years of jiu-jitsu, I give it to the jiu-jitsu guy over the guy who wrestled for 5 years, by the way. I would give it to the jiu-jitsu guy.
Well, again, if you're
jiu-jitsu after 5 years?
If you're only doing wrestling, yes. Because jiu-jitsu, a lot of times you're going to do some wrestling along with that.
Right.
Right? Which is also one of the problems that I have with a lot of jiu-jitsu schools, including our school, frankly. Right? And we did this a little bit with the kids. But until you've wrestled for 6 minutes and tried to take people down, you realize how tired. Same thing with jiu-jitsu, right?
Of course.
Same with grappling, same with punching, all those kind of things, right?
Yep.
You're lacking a lot of those. And until you allow a guy who can, and think about this, and we always joke around that you're a terrible wrestler, right?
Correct.
You're right.
I am.
Right.
It's not really a joke.
Sure. Yeah, it's not.
We make fun of it.
Sure.
But, I'm a terrible wrestler.
So let's take you and the instructor for this class,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Let's just say he's a decent wrestler. I don't know if he is or not,
sure.
right?
Yep.
Right? If you get this on the ground, it's over with. Then, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
if you fall on the ground and you happen to just, you know what I mean? If he comes anywhere near you so you can grab him, it's over with.
Yeah.
Right? But if you can't get him to the ground, right? And he's allowed to lay off a couple of leg kicks and an elbow to your big ass nose.
Yeah. I do got a big nose.
So anyway, so seriously though, but not your nose part, but if he's able to hit a couple of leg kicks and then hit you with a nice 1-2, like even when you get it to the ground, you're going to be in trouble. So I think that's the fallacy, and this is what I said we talked about with the Mr. Jiu-Jitsu we talked about, where that's the fallacy that a lot of I think Jiu-Jitsu guys have. We have a lot of at our school. We have a lot of genuine tough guys, right? And when I genuine tough guys, I mean legitimately tough time, physically and mentally. Yep. And mentally tough is one of the hardest things to become but until you're actually in that fight, until someone's actually trying to punch you and kick you, you don't know how you're going to react.
I'm concerned with your thought process, and here's why. You're correct. If anybody in that room was to hit the ground with me, it's over with, right? Point blank, no questions asked. We don't just do jiu-jitsu laying on the ground and say, hey, my back's on the ground, come jump in.
Sure.
It's a benefit of jiu-jitsu that we can be put in those positions and not worry, struggle, be concerned at all. Whether I know how to punch, let's assume I don't know how to punch at all.
Yeah.
Right? I can still whip my hands around and put them over my face and make sure that somebody's going to try to avoid punching me in the face, right? I can do that. Maybe I do it right. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right? And maybe somebody who punches way better than me will slip my hands over my face, even if I'm doing this, right? Maybe they'll slip my hands over my face. We don't do jiu-jitsu in a vacuum. People do stand-up arts in a vacuum.
I don't know if I believe
There's
that.
a dramatic vacuum.
I don't know if I believe that.
When you did karate, did you ever do anything on the ground at all?
Well, no.
Because you're in a stand-up vacuum.
Yeah.
We're not doing jiu-jitsu in a stand-up vacuum. We do stand-up all the time. We train.
Well, Well, let me.
Right?
So here's the problem, right? And so now when you're doing these traditional martial arts, and I would say when we were younger, that definitely seemed more the case. I didn't do a lot of martial arts.
It was my
but
whole traditional career was like that.
There was maybe I didn't hear anything about ground game. You told me that you did some ground stuff when you were.
I did.
But I
went to a Sharudo seminar, an Autoverissimo seminar in the late 90s when he came to our town, and that was my first introduction to any kind of jiu-jitsu at all. After that, we did games, right? Because I was a young kid in Taekwondo, but we did games like, hey, first person to get to have your legs wrapped around your partner, right, in guard. We would call that guard. It wasn't called guard back then, or at least I don't remember them using that word, but it was, can you get on top of your partner and mount? Once you can get on top, we're going to call that done. We're not going to look for submissions or anything. We'll just call that over. But the battle happened is don't let somebody get there, right? So that's the kind of grappling we did, not anything formal, traditional. Although after Sharudo, we did a little bit more, but it wasn't anything huge.
But if you look now, right, I actually think jiu-jitsu is in trouble of being in that vacuum. Now maybe they're not there yet, right? But if you look at, again, we're gonna just take the one school I have there. They do some punching, some kicking, they do some ground stuff. I'm assuming they'll eventually do some takedowns, right? So there's there.
Hopefully.
So we're covering all three. We're covering punching,
right?
We're covering takedowns, and we're covering what to do when we get to the ground, right? In jiu-jitsu, right? I've never come to a class where we've talked about punching once.
Oh,
Ever.
You haven't come to classes then.
I haven't.
Oftentimes, guys will put on. I don't, but guys will put on gloves and they'll roll.
I have never seen that happen inside of a jiu-jitsu school that was a jiu-jitsu class. Right? I have never seen that happen. That includes when I was training at an MMA
tell you
school.
That it happens all the time.
Or when I was training in an MMA school, I've never seen that.
At open mats,
sure.
I won't say it happens all the time.
I would see it at MMA classes. I would see it at open mats.
Sure.
I would see, with specialized people.
This is important. This is an important distinction for me. I don't do Taekwondo anymore. Because I'd rather do jiu-jitsu. Okay. If I have a finite amount of time to train, I still believe this firmly. If I train twice a week, and you train twice a week, and you're off doing your martial arts program, and I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, when is the inflection point where we'll be equal in terms of fighting skills?
I think.
Is it years? Is it months? Is it?
Are we adults?
We're men.
We're men.
We're grown. Same
level.
We're the same person. Okay, the same physical mentality or the same mental mentality, the same physical stature, the same flexibility, the same athleticism. We're the same person. I go only jiu-jitsu, and then me B goes only martial arts.
So I think
when's the inflection point?
I think
we're training twice a week.
So I think the problem becomes, right, and this is where the unfortunate is, again, karate is set up for children, right? So
no. I didn't say karate. I said we're doing a martial arts program.
Let me tell you, martial arts is set up for children. These schools are set up for children.
Okay.
So the adult classes are set up for big kids.
Okay.
Right? They don't hit that level, and this is where the advantage. This is why jiu-jitsu classes are better.
But this comes back to my question. But why isn't there more people looking for self-defense coming to jiu-jitsu?
What's that? Because they are getting it nowadays.
Because they're tricked.
They are getting it. They are getting the lessons learned. And here's the biggest problem, right? Let's just say the guy is that teaches the class. He's teaching you phenomenal technique on how to do arm bars, how to do stand up, how to do those, right? As we've just hinted on a ton, or not hinted on, we just talked about.
What if he does?
That real world application is what's missing. And so that's where I don't think they're being tricked. I don't think they're training right. Right? And I think that's the biggest issue, right?
Isn't it a trick though? Isn't it a swindle, a dramatic swindle when and correct me if I'm wrong, are they ever going to jiu-jitsu roll?
I don't know.
Are they ever going to I'm assuming they'll spar hard, right?
I'm assuming at a certain age you'll spar hard.
You spar harder than other sparring.
Yeah, I'm assuming especially when I'm assuming as they get into
will
early
they ever
early
train
late teens.
Like jiu-jitsu trains? Do you think?
I don't know, and I don't think so. If you're going to ask me to guess, if you're going to give me the
do you think
ask
the adults
to guess,
do?
I don't. And I think that's the problem.
So isn't that the swindle right there?
I don't know.
I'm going to give you everything I can in terms of tangible techniques, but I'm never going to prepare you to use any of them.
So I think they don't prepare them as I think this is, and again, this is where I was saying, well, I would agree with you that I think jiu-jitsu prepares you a little bit more. I think it's a fallacy, and it's a fallacy that a lot of jiu-jitsu guys get into, that they're really prepared, because they're not. And some guys are. I think there's a lot of guys who aren't prepared for that.
Are they more prepared than the karate guys?
Yes.
Okay, so
from what I know,
it's on the scale.
It's on the scale, yes. Are they more prepared? Yes.
Maybe they're in their heads, they're over-prepared, and maybe that's the greatest swindle of them all, right?
Yeah.
The people teaching the traditional martial arts classes believe in their hearts that what they've trained and what they spent their entire career doing is applicable, right?
Yeah.
I know when I did Taekwondo, I thought I was top shit, right?
Yeah.
I thought, and I'll be honest, a dude who trained jiu-jitsu for 2 months would wreck me. Now, I was athletic, I was flexible.
Sure.
I took it serious, but I only took it as serious as the training mechanisms and methods that I was given.
Yes.
Okay. So this still doesn't answer my question. Why, if jiu-jitsu has been proven, which I think the UFC has proven that jiu-jitsu is, I mean, mainstream at least, right? That jiu-jitsu's a valuable approach.
A very valuable approach, yes.
When was Taekwondo ever proven a valuable approach? It wasn't. I'll answer that for you. It never was.
Wonder Boy.
No. He was an MMA trainer he was karate, right?
Right. Well, I mean, you're
giving me 2 out of a million. Yeah, keep going.
They're still there. So
give me a couple more.
So,
give me a couple more, Kevin.
Hold on.
2 does not make a point.
George St. Pierre, before he went into that WrestleFest,
he had
before he was the champion,
background of karate,
and that was his major background. The reason what made him so good is because he became dominant everywhere, right? And he became there.
I'm showing 3 to the camera.
That's Chuck Liddell, who everybody knows was a D1. He was a great wrestler, but everybody doesn't give it to him. So again, now you're talking about that traditional don't get taken down, knock everybody out kind of mentality.
So you just gave me 4, which is good. You could probably give me some more.
We could keep going with these, right?
Does that prove to anybody that it was Taekwondo that made these guys tough?
No,
They're unique guys, right?
I don't think. And again, here's the problem. I don't think it was Taekwondo or jiu-jitsu or boxing or wrestling that made these guys tough.
Well, this is why MMA is called mixed, right? I mean, I think we have proof.
No, and I think the problem is, and again, if we go back to the original question of why I guess there's a couple questions. One is why the schools are better. I think it's just historically, right? It's going to take time. Not better.
But why aren't there more adults?
That's why. Why aren't there
who leave? Like, so here's a prime example.
Because why are there more adults that leave? So there's a couple different reasons for that, right? And I think they all. And first one is, and this is the one you're hitting
Stockholm
on. Stockholm
syndrome,
right?
That's the first one.
Well, first of all,
they're disillusioned.
Well, they're
all disillusioned.
Yes,
every single one.
There's a disillusion. And again, what I'm trying to say is that disillusion still exists in jiu-jitsu, but either way, you're very disillusioned, right? That's why. How come we don't see more jiu-jitsu guys going to Muay Thai? Muay Thai should be huge because let me tell you, until you've been kicked in the leg by one of those guys, right? You can't shoot on somebody.
Because you get enough of that from jiu-jitsu.
You don't.
You get enough.
You don't.
You get way more than you get
right now.
You get way more than you get from anything else.
No.
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't. You have no idea what it's like to get leg kicked by a guy who knows how to leg kick if you haven't done it once. Right?
So,
you have no idea how to deal with a teat. Right? You think you can take people down. And again, if you look at traditional, like the Gracies used to talk a lot about that.
Muay Thai is way better than jiu-jitsu?
Huh? No, I think it's situational. And again, if you're going to start off, if we're going to be in a street, if we're going to be in a street fight, yes. If it's a street fight, I would say I'd rather have a Muay Thai expert on my side.
So situational.
All day, every day.
Situationally
all
speaking.
All day, every day. I'd have a Muay Thai guy expert.
Interesting.
All day.
I don't agree with that.
In a street fight.
I don't agree with that.
If you're going to give me, especially if you're going to give me random, not high, well, even if you give me high level, but if you're going to give me random guys.
A good purple belt.
Right? Yeah, I'm going to take
So what's the point in time where a good Muay Thai, where's the inflection point there where a good Muay Thai and a good jiu-jitsu guy would meet? 5 years in, 3 years in, 2 years in? What's it take?
I think.
Is a dude with 6 months of Muay Thai way better than a black belt in jiu-jitsu in a street fight? Who would you rather have then?
Oh, no.
A black belt in jiu-jitsu? So where's the inflection point?
Well, we're going to talk about it. If we're going to talk about.
Where's the point happen where jiu-jitsu gets you better quicker? We talked about this. We all agreed to this, that this happens.
I don't think it gets you better quicker.
It absolutely does.
I think
it makes you way more lethal, way faster than.
I think it's hard, especially if we're talking about a street fight and what you can do.
We need to run a test.
I think everybody thinks they can get a guy down to the ground easier than what they can. I'm telling you right now, if you have no wrestling background, right, the jiu-jitsu that most people do, and I'm telling you, the school we do now, when was the last time we had a takedown round? When was the last time we did a Shark Tank? When was the last time we talked about being tired? I'm telling you right now.
We have it happen frequently.
No.
We do. You're not there.
Listen,
you come twice a week. We have dudes who come in and roll hard standing.
Yeah,
I'm not going to tell you it happens all the time.
I've seen it occasionally, right? But when you talk about the drilling, the constant,
specifically before competitions, right?
Yeah, but
this happens a lot.
But I've seen what they do, and I've seen what schools who concentrate on that stuff do, and it's a big difference.
So you think, and remember, when we're talking self-defense, we're normally talking somebody untrained versus somebody trained. Yeah, right. We're rarely talking about two jiu-jitsu guys street fighting in the streets.
Correct.
Or some dude who's got a lifetime of karate fighting somebody who's got a lifetime. I'm talking about a purple belt or
whatever that equivalent is for training-wise. So let's say 5 years in.
Sure.
Right, 5 years in Muay Thai.
Fighting an untrained person.
And a jiu-jitsu guy fighting an untrained person, right?
You would rather have...
we're in a bar, right?
No, but you can't say that. We can't...
If I'm in a street fight
competition... But we can't articulate this in terms of a 5-year Muay Thai guy versus a 5-year jiu-jitsu guy.
Not versus. No.
Against an untrained person. Both of them,
yeah.
Right?
I've got two friends I could take to the bar with me. I know we're going to have
we're going to throw down.
There's a good chance we're going to throw down,
You'd rather take the Muay Thai guy.
I'd rather take the Muay Thai guy.
Interesting.
Right? It is
interesting.
It is deadlier, it is quicker, and it is easier to hit those combinations.
Well, then I agree with that.
Yeah,
I don't know that I agree.
I think you're 100% wrong, and I think
I'm not.
And I think that's you are.
I get it. No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think when you talk about what's going to happen, because again, it's the whole MMA
thing. So why isn't Muay Thai programs bigger? If they're way more effective, according to you, because why aren't they bigger programs than jiu-jitsu? And they're not, right?
They're not.
I don't think across the country Muay Thai is as big as jiu-jitsu is. It's a thing.
Because kickboxing, first of all, kickboxing is the American version of that.
So put kickboxing in there as well. Why isn't it more popular?
Well, kickboxing, it was, it had a big popularity.
Kickboxing, real kickboxing.
So one of the Muay Thai and kickboxing, Muay Thai are different. Right, I don't know the difference.
They are.
They are. There's a lot of differences between them.
Technical differences.
Yeah.
In reality, it's Muay Thai. I mean, Muay Thai is kickboxing, and our kickboxing in America is not Muay Thai, but it's a kickboxing, right?
Yeah.
You have competitors cross-train.
Yes, and you see a lot more of that now, right? And then obviously at the early '90s, that was when
blood sport and all that bullshit.
No, the real stuff, like a lot of
the real stuff,
the real kickboxers.
It was probably much more popular. When
kickboxing was huge, it was taking over, and then
why aren't those as big if they're dramatically as effective?
So if you look
because you can't always stop the takedown.
No, you can't. I agree, and that's where I 100% agree. And again, if you're going to give it in a vacuum, right? I think both of those can be a huge mistake. Again, here's the problem: if you go against a Muay Thai specialist, whatever it is, and they're kicking the crap out of you, they're punching you, and all of a sudden, and then they slip and fall on a banana peel and fall on your guard. It doesn't matter that you have a broken cheekbone, your nose is all messed up, whatever. Next thing you know, he's either going unconscious,
assuming his arms people have the same grit, right? Same grittiness.
Never. Yeah. So if you're gritty enough to he falls, slips on you, and he's never trained a day of ground in his life, right? It's over with, right? Because you're going to break his arm, so he can't punch you again, right? You're going to dislocate his shoulder, right? You're going to do those things. So
I wonder why you hate jiu-jitsu so much.
I love jiu-jitsu, and I think when it comes foundationally, when it comes to a lot of things, that it's a great martial arts. The problem is it's
so. What would you have your kids do if you wanted them to become badass fighters? What would you have them do, knowing that you have a finite amount of time? Right? They got school, they got other things to do. You got 2 other kids. Let's talk Eli alone. Right? Your oldest, who's 9.
Mixed martial arts. If I want them to go, I want them to go to a dedicated mixed martial arts, and there are a lot of them out there. We don't have them in this area, but if you're going to ask me what I want to do, I want a dedicated mixed martial arts. Here's why. So
you think they can get good enough?
So here, no. Let me tell you why. So here's why. So I think what happens is when we talk about the programs, you need to learn some punching and kicking, right?
Yep.
You need to learn some takedowns.
Yep.
Right. How to get the ground to the ground, and how not to get taken down to the ground, and you need to learn what happens when you get to the ground, right? You need to learn all of those, and I'm going to say, in my mind, they're all equally as important.
Sure. Let's weigh them all the same.
We're going to weigh them all the same. You can make the argument that maybe one's 10% more, right? Being able to control it, whether it's up or down, makes them, is probably the most important. Blah, blah, blah. But let's say they're all the same, right? So I'm going to look for and so first thing is learning the right stuff. That's the second thing. The first thing that you have to do, you have to learn the right stuff. And there's a lot of right stuff to learn that we've just covered.
Certainly.
The second thing, which is just as important, or maybe or just close to as important, maybe a little bit more important, depending on the thing, is the intensity that you use that stuff.
Sure.
Right? Which again, when we talk about the traditional, even the quote unquote good traditional martial arts schools, the karates, the kickboxing, the whatever, or not the kickboxing, excuse me, all that stuff, the intensity isn't there.
Sure.
The jiu-jitsu, the intensity is there. I think there's maybe less of a vacuum. There's more real life scenario, which creates less of a vacuum. But when you talk about MMA classes and what those develop to do, that gives you a better overall of all of them. Now, if we're in a grappling, they're not going to be as good as a grappling guy, and let's just say they're not going to be as good as a kickboxer, right? If it's a pure stand up, in a kickboxing fight, they're going to lose to one.
And I'm trying to resonate this in my head.
Mhm.
You put your kid into a 2-year MMA program.
Yeah.
Okay. And conversely, you put your other kid, let's say they're twins, identical twins. You put your other kid in a 2-year jiu-jitsu program.
Yep.
Do you believe that the dude who did MMA or your kid who did MMA would be more prepared for a fight
Yes.
than the dude who did jiu-jitsu?
Yes. 100% more prepared.
And you think he'd beat the other kid 10 times out of 10 in a fight?
I'd say at least 7 times out of 10, right? There's always that puncher's chance, right?
Oh, that's 3 punchers' chances, right? 30%.
70%.
So you think it's 70%? You really do? You honestly believe
At
that?
least, yes.
That the guy who has been trained for 2 years to get the fight to the ground, right, would have less
again,
of a chance.
So here's the problem. Again, I don't think the
because you
jiu-jitsu
can't
schools,
assume he doesn't know how to punch.
What?
You can't assume your kid doesn't know how to punch.
He can throw a punch, but know how to punch is totally different things.
Agreed.
Right?
Wholeheartedly
and
agree.
it's not how to throw a punch, it's how to stop a punch, how to see a punch from coming, how to get those angles.
That's fine. All of that, I don't disagree with you, right?
Yeah.
If you think from a boxing perspective or a kickboxing perspective, but you honestly believe that it's 70-30?
Yeah. If not higher.
Interesting.
If not higher.
I don't agree with that at all.
If not higher.
I don't agree with that at all.
If
Will
not higher.
they do the same kind of consistent hard level training in the MMA program that jiu-jitsu has?
In an MMA program, yes. The MMA programs that I've seen.
Will they spar right away?
What's that?
Will they spar right away? You want your kid to spar hard in those scenarios, standing up?
No. So
He's not going to be doing it as much as the jiu-jitsu guy.
No.
He's not going to be anywhere near as active as the jiu-jitsu guy.
Well, again,
Not
so
at
a lot of these schools, and again, a lot of these
He
MMA.
may throw a ton of repetitions in terms of punches and
Here's
kicks.
the problem. A lot of these MMA schools, at least that I've seen, it's 70% jiu-jitsu, right? So they're doing a lot of jiu-jitsu and then sprinkling the other thing at a certain age, right?
Okay.
So that's where
Let's
we're
assume they're
talking
15.
kids. What's
Let's
that?
assume they're 15.
It's still that way.
And they're punching and they can kick to the head and
It's
stuff
still
like
that
that. And they're
right?
training. So they're doing 70% jiu-jitsu.
Yes, they're still doing 70% jiu-jitsu and then maybe let's say 20% takedowns, right? And that may jump, and then the last of that's going to be.
All right, and so 20%
punching and
of 2
sparring.
days a week is a little number, right? When the guy who's doing jiu-jitsu is doing dramatically more training.
Sure, but
and harder on more frequently.
They're going for the same amount of class.
Same amount of class.
And again, and
even if it's an hour-long class.
Yeah, but if it's an hour-long class, right, I think you're both getting, let's say, 30 minutes worth of, at the most, in most kids' classes, even adult classes. Besides,
let's call it 30 minutes of jiu-jitsu in an hour-long class.
Yeah, if it's 50-50, 30 minutes of rolling, right?
Yep.
And 30 minutes of prep and teach and everything else. A lot of times it's less than that.
So let's call it 50-50.
Yeah, we'll call it 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Is an MMA class going to do 50% hard focused training in one of those areas?
What's that?
Are they going to do hard focused training in one of those areas?
I think if you're going to look over time, what you're going to get out of those, right? You may see now, you're going to ask me, hey, if we're going to do a 2-year program and we ask in 6 months what's going to happen, yeah, that jiu-jitsu guy may have the advantage. But if
2 years.
But in 2 years, and that amount of time frame, I'm going to give the advantage to the guy who does the MMA.
I can't agree with
by
that.
far.
I could never agree with that.
Because again, and what I've seen for the traditional jiu-jitsu, there's not enough takedowns that are being done. There's not enough hard takedowns that are being done, right? And there's not enough of understanding of the angles and how to move and being able to get hit. There's just not.
So my question is, at this point in time, I know how to grip, whether I've done a takedown ever. I'm a terrible wrestler.
Yeah.
I know how to grab a stranger's collar and try to get them to the ground because I'm going against a stranger who doesn't know anything about jiu-jitsu or wrestling or anything else, right? Assuming you don't know what they know, obviously.
Yeah.
But I know no wrestling.
Yeah.
But I know jiu-jitsu grips. I know jiu-jitsu chokes. I know jiu-jitsu holds. I know over and under hooks.
Yeah.
I know all of these things. I'm getting somebody to the ground.
I think you're going to have more trouble getting certain guys to the ground than you believe.
Nope.
And I
disagree.
I
disagree with you.
I
disagree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I think you're wrong.
I got arm drags. I know way more technical skills.
Yeah.
Then why
I don't
do
think
most fights go to the ground?
What's that?
Most fights go to the ground, and statistically speaking, probably those most fights aren't talking about jiu-jitsu related people.
I've heard that a lot, and I've used that topic a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
So how does that happen if it's hard to get somebody on the ground?
True.
I think it's true.
Right?
I don't have the metrics in front of me.
I don't have the metrics. I know people say that, and most street fights go to the ground.
Just
right?
like
and
most stereotypes, they're based and founded in reason.
There's some sort of reason.
Okay?
And again, there's always the opportunity
if that
that goes to the
happens,
ground.
why is it so hard for a guy who does jiu-jitsu to get somebody on the ground who doesn't know anything about anything?
Again, so
why do you hate jiu-jitsu? That's really what it boils down to. Why do you give no credit? So you don't think that you have jiu-jitsu skills, you could take down somebody who doesn't know shit about anything?
I might be able to take them down, and there's a very chance to write it down. But if
wait. There's either a good chance or not a good chance. You got to give it to me. You said it's going to be harder than I ever dreamed of.
I think it's going to be harder than what you're thinking. So why do I hate jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Because I think you guys, including myself, and I feel like I've come to a realization of this. As we talked about earlier in class, I think I could beat up everybody when I walk into a room. Yeah. And some days
but you couldn't take them down because
I think
it's harder than you thought.
Yes, I think it'll be harder to take them down than I thought. Right. So if I don't get him down in a minute 30, because I only have 2 minutes worth of rolling, right? I only have 30 seconds to beat this guy, or else it's over with for me. Right.
See,
I think it's harder than what people think. I think, and if you're going to talk about what's more prepared, right? Again, if we're going to talk about a guy who knows nothing, right? You have to take him to the ground. That Muay Thai guy, just has to step to the left slightly so they can kick their knee out from him. Right. Those solid kicks. Right. Mm-hmm.
And
those solid punches.
Why do you assume he's going to get to that before I get a grip?
Because you're already there.
But why do you assume he's going to get to that before I get a grab of his arm or anything?
I assume it's easier. I think it's easier to hold.
Okay.
Right. I think it's easier to punch someone in the face if you're trained. I think it's easier for a trained guy to punch somebody in the face or kick them in the leg or kick them in the belly or whatever.
Sure.
Right. I think it's easier to strike a person when you start standing than for you to get a good grip that you need for a takedown. I think it's easier. Right? Now, once you get it, and if you want to talk about less control, and if you want to talk about less variability, once you get him to the ground, you're in a whole lot better place because you had that puncher chain. You have guys who just hit like bricks even if they don't know how to punch, right?
Right.
And if you accidentally get caught when you're standing up, yes, that's there. So
and
on the
puncher's
ground,
chance can happen.
And on the ground, if you're not trained how to punch on the ground, at least in my opinion, it's harder to punch even if you're on top. It's harder to punch somebody when you're on top of them on the ground than it is standing, because you shadow box and you look. But
you think a blue belt who's never punched anybody a day in his life.
Yeah.
Let's call it a purple belt.
Sure.
Right? Blue belts are still beginners, right? You and I had the conversation that purple belt's advanced, right?
Yeah.
You fought for that. I did not.
Yeah.
Right? I thought it was more intermediate.
Yep.
You don't think a purple belt who is advanced can understand how to throw a punch when he's on top of somebody or inside control?
I think they have. I think they have a better chance because they work with the ground, they work with the movement, they understand where the hips need to
positioning,
be.
Body positioning. Right?
I say that differently for if you talk about an untrained guy.
Sure,
right?
They're not going to be able to punch.
Well, but an untrained guy who can, like, say, hits like a truck, right? Standing up, he knows how to punch, right? Once he hits the ground, he's not going to hit that hard anymore.
All those are gone.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
His knockout power is gone.
It's gone.
The minute he hits the floor.
So that's what I mean. So that's where I said the jiu-jitsu is the advantage, right? Because if I'm if I'm a stand-up guy, that guy still has his greatest tool there at all times.
Sure.
Even if he doesn't know how to use it correctly, he still has that tool.
Yeah.
Once that goes to the bottom, even though he still may hit harder than you do. I don't know all of it, but a good portion of it.
Every ounce of it.
I don't think he loses every ounce of it. Again, by a guy.
Tell me the last time you got knocked out from the bottom of side control.
What's that? Well, again, it depends where you're at.
Right? When was the last time you got hurt from the bottom of the bottom of side control?
When I was in the bottom?
No, when they're on the bottom. They're on the ground.
I'm just talking about.
I'm not playing guard when I'm street fighting somebody.
You never know.
Hey, jump into my guard.
What if you slip and fall?
That's not what's happening, right? I'm not playing guard. I'm not playing bottom of side control.
Well, yeah. Well,
nobody's doing that, right? Especially if you know some jiu-jitsu. You will immediately translate that to you being in a dominant position.
When I was saying,
you'll take their back. Tell me the last time somebody got knocked out when their back was taken.
Well, I can actually tell you the last time someone got knocked out or got choked. Well, they got choked out. I think someone got knocked out 2 years ago when they were in mount, actually.
Well, I mean, give or take the flukes.
So those powers.
But that wasn't a street fight. That was two jiu-jitsu people or an MMA fight.
Yeah. But no, I guess
it wasn't one person untrained.
The power is still there, and I guess
it's not there. It's not there at all.
And again, not from the bottom, right?
There's
no
power.
What I'm saying, what'll happen again? So this is exactly why I hate jiu-jitsu guys, right?
Okay.
Well, I would agree. Most of the time, if you're in a street fight and you take the guy down,
you know jiu-jitsu.
Hold on.
Could you knock me out from the bottom of side control?
Hold on. Wait. This is where I'm getting to, right? Every jiu-jitsu guy is. Oh, if I got into a street fight, I take the guy down, I'd be on top. I take the guy down, I'd be on top. That's what you said.
No.
You never once.
I never said I would do that. I'm just saying, why do you think I couldn't?
I think you would have trouble doing it.
Why do you think jiu-jitsu is so far removed? Because all we do is lay on the ground in our pajamas and try to choke each other with our belts and our lapels.
That's because that's what we do.
Why do you think we're so... No, that's not what we do.
That's what we do.
That's
what we do.
Man.
Name the last 6 classes that we did.
We're so far away.
Name the last month. I've been there. Well, I've been here the last month.
We had a lot of guys training for tournaments. We did a whole lot of stand-up. Now, we're not doing this for the reason of self-defense.
Sure.
But if you think that all of that training means, well, I couldn't defend myself. I couldn't. The minute somebody has the ability to throw a punch, all jiu-jitsu guys crumble.
I
do agree with you that and just what Joe Rogan said. A black belt turns into a brown belt after the first punch. but that doesn't necessarily. We train so much harder than that.
I'm not, and again, I'm not saying that it's not there. The advantages there.
You hate jiu-jitsu.
Well, yeah, because again, I hate the people that train it because you never once in this scenario that we were giving, the hypothetical, you never gave the advantage, the possibility that you would end up on bottom in a street fight. Because you can't fathom that. This whole conversation when we were talking about power.
It's not that I can't fathom ending up on the bottom. I can't fathom getting on the bottom and staying there. I don't think anybody non-trained could stop me from doing what I wanted to do
hits you
to
on
get
the way
back
up,
on top.
All it takes is one shot. If he hits you on the way up, you're in a lot of trouble.
So magic happens where a guy super untrained can somehow mount me to the place where
mount in your guard.
Whatever. So he is somehow able to hit me directly into my face because I'm just laying there, not trying to overhook, not trying to clinch, not trying to underhook. I don't believe that could happen.
It happens. It happens all the time.
To who?
To guys who are way better on the ground. I've seen it in training. It's happened to me because when I'm way better than the guys,
remember,
in a scramble,
it happens
there's the shot when there's a punch.
When people are training that.
Again,
when we talk self-defense, remember, we're talking the guy on the street who doesn't, you can't assume knows what you know, or is better than you at some other martial art that is a direct contradiction.
I get 90% of the time the guy doesn't, but as you guys are in that scramble, for some reason he ends up on top of you in your guard. If he ends up inside control because you tripped over something, if he ends up wherever and mounts, whatever, right? But if
you're talking about the far polarized scenarios.
No.
So will I concede to you that there is a magical person who
not a magical person
somewhere in the world because I'm not athletic and I haven't trained a lot that I could potentially slip on some black ice, hit my head going on the way down. This guy can end up on top of me somehow, whether in my guard or not, and knock me out. It's possible. How about that?
You will get hit if you fall on the bottom for whatever reason, right? For whatever reason, you don't end up on top.
Give me a reason that I might fall.
The guy takes you down. He's better takedown than you. He's stronger than you. He's bigger than you.
Sure.
Right? He bear hugs you, grabs the back of the back. You know what I mean? He's watched 3 UFC fights and he does one thing right. He takes you down to the ground.
At some point between that bear hug, he has let go enough to cock back and hit me in the face.
You will get hit more often than you expect.
I don't agree with you.
You will get hit.
At all.
You will get hit.
I don't agree. Now, I'm not telling you that I would win every fucking street fight that ever happened because I do jiu-jitsu. But I'm telling you that I am dramatically more prepared than that guy is.
I agree you're better and more prepared.
Dramatically more prepared.
I think you're more prepared than that guy. But I think you're underestimating how many times you're going to get hit.
No.
And what's going to happen. I
don't think so.
I really do. And I think most jiu-jitsu guys do. And I don't think
so.
They don't know what it's like to get hit and get your bell rung, even though you're going to be fine. And if you don't do that, if you don't get smacked in the nose. So is that the
reason why we don't, is because all of those other people are so better trained than jiu-jitsu people at stand-up and stuff? Is that why nobody comes to jiu-jitsu? Because they're all just way better trained?
No.
But you're telling me that somebody who doesn't do jiu-jitsu is going to hit me more frequently in a fight.
I think, yes, they're going to hit you.
You think I'm going to get hit more?
I think you're going to get hit. No. I said you're going to get hit more than you expect.
Okay.
Right? If we go back to the, again, and I think.
So how much?
And again, so if we go back to.
So how many times should I expect to get hit?
I don't know. It depends on who you're fighting.
Well, you said I'm going to get hit more, so it has to be more than one, right?
3 times.
I'm going to get hit 3 times.
You're going to hit at least 3 times.
All of those are enough to knock me out?
I don't know. No. But
all of those are enough that will prevent me from winning?
All of those are enough to change your reaction. And if you're not used to changing your reaction, one of those may be enough to knock you out. One of them may miss the spot it needs to knock you out, right?
So why, in your opinion, can't jiu-jitsu win?
Jiu-jitsu can win.
But why is it always you hate jiu-jitsu people who train jiu-jitsu because they all think super highly of themselves because they train really hard, in your words, not mine.
Yes.
They train better than all the other martial arts.
Yes.
But for some reason, I still think they're a couple pegs down from the people who do stand-up for their training.
Yeah, because they're automatically.
Why can't why can't my jiu-jitsu be better than the guy who does Muay Thai when I hit an arm drag or something? Why can't that win?
It can.
But you just think that they're better.
I think that if you're going to ask me percentage-wise who I want in a self-defense scenario, who I think is going to have the better advantage, right? Maybe the quicker chance, right? I want a guy.
Why do you hate jiu-jitsu?
Because I want a guy who can kick somebody. I want a guy who kicks somebody in the leg.
Interesting.
Right? That's what I want.
Interesting.
I want a guy who understands. I want a guy who understands.
Are you biased because every time you've got kicked in the leg, it's like broke?
I cry.
Leg?
Yeah. No.
Interesting.
I think once you get punched in the face, right? And you've done this before, so you understand.
Yes.
Right. And I think, but until you get hit in the face as you're trying to do something else, it's weird. Even if it doesn't hurt. It's the same thing idea of a jab, right? The reason why the jab there's lots of reasons why the jab's effective, but that little tight jab, that just touches people, that gets in their face, it's effective because it changes what you do.
Sure.
Because it reminds you that you can get hit.
Sure.
So you're not worried about that punch, you're worried about the next one.
I don't think the debate that we're having is that those things aren't effective. Okay?
Yeah. No.
They are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Point blank. They are.
Yeah.
Right? for the names that you've mentioned, George St. Pierre, Chuck Liddell, right?
Sure.
Those guys, I mean, George St. Pierre did jiu-jitsu with the best of them.
And they all did.
Chuck was super hard to keep on the ground, right?
And he did a lot of jiu-jitsu.
And
People
he
forget
did a
about
lot of
that, right?
jiu-jitsu, right? The guys who you would predominantly call stand-up guys who just want to bang, right?
Sure.
Want to stand and bang. They've done jiu-jitsu.
Yes, they all do. So taking the fights are all there.
All of that, I concur with you or agree with you that, and the conclusion is all of those are effective, right? And let's throw out 10% of them because they're probably not.
Sure.
But for the majority of people doing MMA are effective at punching and standing and doing what they're doing. I just wonder why you just assume, why you who have done jiu-jitsu, who chooses to do jiu-jitsu over MMA, who chooses to do jiu-jitsu over the martial arts that you signed your kids up for, right? Who
chooses to do it over Muay Thai,
chooses to do it over Muay Thai, who chose jiu-jitsu over all of those things when you stopped doing MMA. Why you think that people who do jiu-jitsu are just somehow still behind the 8 ball a little bit?
I think everybody's behind the 8 ball, right? That's where I think.
Why do you point out jiu-jitsu so
because we talk jiu-jitsu, we do jiu-jitsu, right?
But voraciously, why are you against jiu-jitsu in this conversation?
I'm not against jiu-jitsu. I think jiu-jitsu is a fantastic. If we're going to rate the 3 that we've talked about, right? Self-defense wise, right? I'm going to go traditional karate, martial arts, whatever, kung fu.
Bottom of the pile,
right?
Sure.
All right, and then I'm going to give a good level of space to jiu-jitsu, right?
Okay.
And then I'm going to slightly put Muay Thai in a street fight over top. Now there's situation, and they could fluctuate depending on the situation. I think the situation matters, the people, the size of the guy that you're fighting. There's so many things that matter.
There's so many variabilities
right?
or variables that.
But again, if you're going to ask me just in general, like I need one person to come with me for a bar fight that's going to magically break out of nowhere, right? That's the guy I want.
Interesting.
Right? Because I think it has more real world quick strike scenarios. Right? And I use that purposely, quick strike, because I think that's what's going to happen.
If you were to recommend a family member who says, hey, I want to do this purely for self-defense, where do you tell them to go? Muay Thai? Is that your answer? Is your answer Muay Thai? If your answer's not Muay Thai, then everything you said means nothing to me anymore. Is your answer Muay Thai?
No.
Why?
So
why is your answer not Muay Thai? You just spent, hold on, let me look at this clock.
Yep.
We are an hour and 25 minutes into this, okay?
Yep.
You just spent the last big chunk of time saying that's the guy you want with you.
So let me tell you why, right? And I'm going to tell you exactly why, the same reason.
Okay.
So to get good at something, you have to do something a lot. If you're going to do something a lot, you have to enjoy it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If you follow those 3 steps, I got to do it a lot. I got to like it. I want to be good at it.
Okay.
I got to do it a lot. If I'm going to do it a lot, I got to like it.
Right.
Jiu-jitsu strikes all those things to me better than the rest of those, right? It's more fun. It's easier to train harder. There's things that you can do. You can stay in it long term. You can use it as hey, for the first 5 years, I'm going to train hard like I'm going to be the biggest badass in the world.
But remember,
and then once 5 years hits, I'm gonna be lazy.
The mission was self-defense, or let's not even use self-defense, to be a badass.
Yeah.
You're going to tell them jiu-jitsu over Muay Thai, even though you talked out of the other side of your mouth and said, I want the Muay Thai guy with me.
You're talking about my, again.
Anybody. Listen, I said a family member because I figured you'd be honest with them.
Yeah.
But anybody who comes to you and says, Kevin, I know you have MMA experience. I know you're a purple belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I know that you've trained a lot in all of these things.
Well, again,
and you used to train at an MMA school under a UFC
well, you know
fighter.
What? Actually, I take the back.
Would you tell them Muay Thai?
If I was going to say jiu-jitsu or Muay, if I were going to be, I tell them MMA. I actually tell them MMA. You want to be a badass, you got to go to an MMA school. That's what we just talked about before. You have to know all 3 of those.
Interesting.
You have to go to an MMA school. If you want to be a badass, you have to go to an MMA school. Plain and simple, right? It doesn't matter how good you are at those individuals, because if you're going to be a badass, you better be able to deal with all those scenarios.
But even though most MMA schools don't teach self-defense,
you don't need to.
We don't do either.
No.
I mean, let's be honest.
No.
We don't do either.
MMA schools is teaching you how to fight.
They're teaching you how to do MMA,
which is fighting, right?
With rules, yes,
but it's fighting.
But it's not self-defense.
No.
Right? I mean, let's make that distinction.
Sure.
So if somebody says, hey, I want to learn how to fight.
Yeah. But they're teaching you all the stuff that you learn in jiu-jitsu.
No, no, they're not. Absolutely not. And if you think that, you're wrong. Absolutely not. And you did MMA.
You're right.
And you know that you're not learning everything you learn in jiu-jitsu.
Not everything.
Not at all. And you're not approaching it the same way. You're not using the same techniques.
Correct.
You're dramatically doing
actually,
it different.
For a self-defense scenario, I think it's actually going to be, you're going to be using just the stuff that's going to, and there's a lot of stuff in jiu-jitsu that's going to work.
You can never grab clothes in an MMA match. And you don't.
No.
Right?
Correct.
In your MMA school. But you have a T-shirt on.
Huh?
I could for sure wrap that T-shirt around your neck. Maybe not you because you know jiu-jitsu.
No.
But if you weren't here, I could for sure wrap that T-shirt around you.
This is a pretty cheap T-shirt. It's going to rip. Now what are you going to do?
I'll take that like it's a lapel and continue to wrap it around
Well,
your neck
it's ripped.
because
It's
you
off.
can't.
Now I
it's
know you
not
have,
off.
Wait,
Come on.
Listen, I watch
Listen.
I watch enough
one of
World
those
Star to know those come off pretty
you're
easy.
one of those guys who goes, "You could never jujitsu me because I have a gun."
No,
because I know how to shoot a gun. You can never jujitsu
Listen,
me.
it may work,
And
right? I'm just saying there's other scenarios
Okay,
where you're
so
saying
maybe-
automatically it's going to work. Automatically it's going to work. Automatically it's
it
going to
will
work, right?
It absolutely will.
I don't know
work.
if you could choke
And
me
if
with my t-shirt.
And if you had a jacket on, I could absolutely take that hood that's dangling behind because you know you don't fucking wear a hood even in the middle of winter. And you'll get choked like a motherfucker. Tell me you won't.
Let's take a hoodless jacket, right? Let's just say a regular, nice, thick winter jacket. What a collar choke you can hold me down. Forget about choking me with it.
I got grips for days.
Just
where do you learn that in MMA?
Controlling
MMA,
me.
you don't have a shirt on.
No,
you're in a rash guard.
No.
You got
exactly.
tiny little shorts on.
So when you fight me in the winter, you got a chance. Well, we're world starring in the middle of summer on a basketball court because I don't have a shirt on.
I ain't worried about that either.
I'm sweaty.
I ain't worried about that either.
Yeah, but you don't.
Still not concerned.
But now I'm punching
because
at
I can
you,
do,
and I'm punching
because I
and
can
I'm
do
kicking.
jiu-jitsu with no gi.
Well, yeah.
Well, you could do all of that stuff when you had a shirt on.
But I'm punching and kicking.
But you still could do all of that with a shirt on
anymore. And you don't realize how much you can't stop me.
That's why I want to know, why can't a jiu-jitsu guy stop you?
You can, right?
Okay?
You definitely
Why do you hate jiu-jitsu?
What?
Why do you hate?
Because you guys
the name of this
heads.
podcast is going to be called "Why Kevin Hates Jiu-Jitsu."
Because they got big heads. They're all big head sons of bitches.
So you just
all of us
more so
all
than
of us.
MMA people?
No, but they have a little bit more of a backing to get it, right?
No, they don't.
Yes, they do because they punch each other in the face repeatedly. And you know this. You know the change when you punch yourself in the face. When you punch yourself in the face, yes.
That happens repeatedly, by the way.
Yeah. You know the difference when you get punched. And I'm telling you, most guys do not understand that, right? And I'm going to tell you what. I was one of those guys who did not understand that, right?
I'm not going to tell you that it's dramatically going to change somebody's life when they get punched in the face, because it will. It will. Oh, no question.
Oh, yeah.
It will. To think that one punch is going to cause me to forget everything I've ever learned in my entire life is
it's not
weird.
It's going to
it's weird for you to think that.
It's going to cause 10-second amnesia.
No, it's not. No,
some guys it will.
Not.
Some guys it will.
Some guys it will.
Some guys
of course,
it will.
You could say that too.
Sure.
Whether it's 1 or 9 million, some guys
3-second amnesia, 2-second amnesia,
okay.
right? 2-second amnesia. Can we agree with 2-second amnesia?
I don't know that I'll agree to that, but
I'm going to say a lot of guys. So let me rephrase what I'm saying. Not every guy, right?
Sure.
I think there are guys.
Sure.
We said there's a lot of legitimate tough guys that are in the gym who are mentally strong enough to be able to deal with that.
You think all of these dudes in the jiu-jitsu gym who train regularly are all of a sudden going to crumble to an MMA's punch?
I think more of them
crumble.
I think more of them are going to have that 2-second amnesia that allow them to get hit again and again and again.
I don't believe that for a second.
I do.
I think some people will crumble. Don't get me wrong. I believe I would probably crumble. But to think that all of these tough guys who try to break each other's arms and choke each other unconscious on a regular basis, who are in the worst positions that MMA people can be in and jiu-jitsu people can be in, right? Smothered under the bottom, right? People who survive, right? Because we don't have punches in jiu-jitsu, I do not believe that
the worst position is one man beating on you on another.
I do not believe
that's the worst position. It doesn't matter where you're up, standing down on the ground, so you've been punched in the head, into the body, into the wherever, right? That's the worst position. Yeah, it sucks to be on bottom, right? It sucks that you're putting all that pressure on me, but if I don't have to worry about a knee to my kidney, it doesn't suck as bad.
But why do you think that? Why do you always just assume that the puncher is going to win and be on top blasting the guy who doesn't do jiu-jitsu?
No, I don't assume they're always going to be.
But why do you assume they're going to make contact at all?
Because I know from my personal experience. So when I say no, I know that these guys are going to make contact, right? Now, how good of contact they make, right? There's a lot of things because you can take a lot of the stuff that you learn on the ground and translate it to when you're standing up.
Of course.
There's a lot of angles and all those kind of things.
Absolutely.
You can understand that. So if you're smart and you do it, you can figure it out. And in jiu-jitsu, you will
center line theory, absolutely.
Yes, there's a lot of that stuff there, right? And again, I still going to give that jiu-jitsu guy a 99% chance of winning that fight. Right? I'm not saying that I'm going to. I mean, 98.
That's not what, this is a dramatic difference than the rest of our podcast conversation.
No. See, this is where you're taking it, right? Just because I think the Muay Thai guy is better prepared. I think that guy's in a self-defense street fight scenario.
Does the Muay Thai guy have a 100% chance of winning?
No.
But you just gave the Jiu-Jitsu guy 99, so why would you still pick the Muay Thai?
99.5. I told you, just slightly above. 99.1 if you want to say.
So let's circle this back.
I just think they have a better thing.
Let's circle this back. Because we could probably argue about this topic all day long.
Oh, for sure.
Why doesn't our gym have more people who came from traditional martial arts? And, right, it's not for a lack of knowledge. right? Information availability,
Sure.
right? Where it's 2021, right? You can Google, hey, what should I pick for self-defense? If you're a podcast fan, Jocko Willink has said 8 million times, if you're going to do something, do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Sure.
Joe Rogan is not just a fan favorite to Jiu-Jitsu specialists or MMA specialists. He's a global phenomenon who has 100 million subscribers. Why don't we have more people doing Jiu-Jitsu?
So I think we talk back, it's the marketing. And the marketing starts when you were a kid.
But
right?
people listen to Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan's a black belt in karate or taekwondo or whatever he did. Right?
Absolutely. But he never talks about people going to do taekwondo.
But he talks about himself doing taekwondo all the time.
Yes, but he never tells anybody to go do it. He tells people to go do Jiu-Jitsu regularly.
But again, people who listen to things, especially guys who aren't into it, maybe they listen to Joe Rogan to hear him talk about the scientists or the politicians.
How much is it they're all just pussies who are too afraid to get into something they don't know anything about and they know it's too hard?
That is a very, very good part of it as well. So
you think people are just in general giant pussies?
Yeah.
Is that why people weed out of jiu-jitsu so often?
Yes.
I'm answering rhetorical questions too because I already know the answers to these.
Yeah. So the first thing is marketing.
Is that why most
right?
blue belts quit? No, that's a different topic.
No.
That's a topic for another day.
The first thing is the first one is marketing, right? Everybody goes to taekwondo. It's still It's still there, right? Blah blah blah.
Right.
It's still king.
Before you know anything, you're leaning in that direction just because of marketing. Agreed.
So you're there. The second and then is that mentality, right? You can go and learn self-defense at your own pace. Pussies. Oh yeah, you can learn at your pace, right? You can go there and I know you can do that jiu-jitsu, right? But it's not the harshness of it, right? The sink or swim attitude that happens a lot of times. You go into
But isn't that what you want? What most people should want? Everybody listening to this podcast and watching this video,
what you should
that's what you want.
Or what people
That's what you should want.
That's what you want.
That's what you want.
100% what you want.
You want something effective that can be effective 3 weeks in and not 4 years in.
I think at a young age.
When's your kid's going to be a black belt, by the way?
What's that?
When your kid's a black belt, when your kid's a black belt in this martial arts program, and my kid's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, right? And let's call it, your kid trains. Both of them are 9. Well, your Eli's 8, but my kid's 9. Your kid's 8.
At 16, right?
Let's say at 16,
right?
Kai will have been doing jiu-jitsu for 7 years, and Eli would have been doing his martial arts for 7 years. Who do you put winning? And this is more a conversation of I want you to tell me my kid's going to be tougher than yours. But in reality, who do you think is going to win?
Well, my kid's going to be taller and longer. He's going to have that slick jab.
True.
Right.
Okay.
So and his dad isn't a big pussy, so that's going to help as well.
Well, true. Okay.
So no,
do you give it to the jiu-jitsu kid at that time?
So let me answer this in a full sentence because the answer is yes.
Okay.
Right. But the problem is my bias. I have not seen. I haven't seen a karate school or taekwondo school and I'm lumping my son's school into these taekwondo and karate schools that I grew up with.
McDojo kind of thing.
Not McDojos, but just
How much have you spent for your kid's yellow belt?
We're not talking about this.
It's fine.
Same amount as a Roy Harris blue belt.
Oh, nice. Bazinga. Bruin, that was for you.
I got no pride like Roy. Nice.
Okay, me too.
Anyways, so no, I don't know. I'm excited to see how the training intensifies.
So
what it's going to look
let's call it a calendar year.
Is the ability there for him to learn? If we're going to say a calendar year,
are you anticipating? So let me change the vector of this.
Yeah.
Are you anticipating him to be a badass in a calendar year?
No.
Would you anticipate somebody doing jiu-jitsu in a calendar year, same frequency, same cadence of training, to be dramatically more prepared for all of that in 1 year?
Yes.
Why would you sign your kid up for that then?
Again, different reasons. First of all, somebody can't.
But he's going to have just as much fun at jiu-jitsu.
No.
Yes, he will. He loved jiu-jitsu. Eli loved it.
Yeah, well, okay.
He loved jiu-jitsu.
So let's take Eli out. Eli loves it. Eli loves it. It's his great thing. You know who didn't love it? Kevin. You know who loves?
That's because he was not even of age to be taking the class.
Sure. But you know who? He's barely of age now.
He loves it.
You know who loves taekwondo or karate or martial arts or whatever the hell it's called? Right. Loves it.
Okay.
Loves it. And it gets him up things. So, and again, my reasons to going to this school are different. I think they're going to learn enough self-defense of those kind of things. And as they get older to an age that they can train a little harder, they have the advantage that I'm hoping that I want to train with them a little harder. I want to roll with them.
Okay.
I want to do those kind of things, right?
Do you see your kids staying in?
I see Eli staying in, yes.
The karate?
Sure.
For a really long time?
I see him staying into some sort of martial arts. Whether it's
do you
karate,
see him staying
jiu-jitsu,
into this thing? I mean, of course you're going to hope he goes to jiu-jitsu. Well, you might hope he goes to Muay Thai.
I'm going to sign him up for Muay Thai.
Right? That's not around here. But I'm sure you hope he goes down the jiu-jitsu route.
Yes,
I'll be quite frank. Kai has to go down the jiu-jitsu route. He doesn't have a choice. You're a little more lenient of a father than I am in relation to that, but we already talked about that. And we talked about that with Mr. Jiu-Jitsu.
I see my son staying in some sort of martial arts for a long period of time.
What if he tells you, Dad, I really like this, but 6 months in, you realize you were swindled
Sure.
bamboozled, tricked, hoodwinked, whatever you want to call
Yep.
it. What do you do then?
He's going to continue to go through this program that he's working on for until he's probably at least, let's say he's 8 now, right? I'll say he'll go through this kind of school most likely.
Right.
I'm kind of locked in stone for pricing wise, but right. The plan is right now for two.
When this contract expires, will you?
2.5,
and
3
he tells
years.
you, I love it. I absolutely love it. And you look at it and say, listen.
He'll be 11, so I'm okay.
Let me give this disclaimer real quick. This could be a phenomenal program. Okay, I'm
so
talking.
Far it's great.
I'm talking shit on it because it's not jiu-jitsu, but this could be a phenomenal program. And I just want to say that this is a pure hypothetical conversation. Sure. You finish this contract up,
correct?
However long it is.
Yep.
And
we finish the thing that they do.
The thing you're locked into, right?
Swindle,
and
the swindle. I got it.
You realize, you know what? It's not great.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not great for your comparison because you have tons of 15 years of jiu-jitsu. But he says, I love it. But he also liked jiu-jitsu when he did it.
Yes.
What do you do then?
So
is it his call? Hey, we'll sign you up again, buddy, if you want to do it again.
It'll be his call. So it'll be his call overall. So again,
what if after this contract, he's even worse than he was before he started?
Well, then that's different, right? Then it's a waste of money, right? So if he goes through, he likes it, he's good. And age is going to be an important thing too. He's 11, right? If I think he's learning good stuff, like he's learning self-defense, he's having fun, he's learning how to kick, he can at least do a pretty kata at least, right? I'm okay with that, right? All that stuff is there because a lot of that leads into some of the other reasons I was there, mostly the athleticism, right? If he can do a pretty kata, that means he's developing some athleticism.
But now,
right? So I'm okay with that. So maybe he's doing other sports, maybe there other things like that. So if he's going to be 11, at 11,
wait,
3 years.
How's he going to do other sports when he's doing this Taekwondo program that you're paying for and you're already locked in, which means he's going to do it? So what if soccer happens at the same time?
I let him do soccer.
You'll let him stop doing Taekwondo?
So the idea is he can go like Saturday mornings, or we'll move it around a little bit. Yeah. So I thought about that, and that's part of
What if he wants to wrestle and do soccer?
What's that?
And all of them are
he probably won't be able to do
times.
I think a lot of it's going to come down to school.
All of them are at different times than this program.
We have to figure out the timing with the school
what about baseball?
And what he's going to do.
Baseball.
He wants to play baseball.
What if he wants to play baseball, football, soccer, and he can't do this anymore?
I can cancel this.
So you would, if you want to do all of those?
Yeah.
Why are those more important than Taekwondo?
No, that's not what's more important. What's more important is, again,
but he really likes Taekwondo, but he still wants to do baseball.
I want him going out there and being active.
Okay.
So whatever is going to keep him active for the next couple of years, I'm going to push him towards those. If all of a sudden he goes,
what if it's Taekwondo? But Taekwondo is really active, or karate's really active.
Okay, I want him. I just want to be
active.
I don't need to be if he prefers to play baseball and he's only playing 50% of the games because he sucks, but he'd rather play baseball than Taekwondo, I'm going to let him play baseball. Right? He's still going to get the activity. He's going to get those team things. I'm going to let him do. He's a kid, right? I'm not, and I may push him towards.
Do you have no care about developing like jiu-jitsu skills or MMA skills or martial arts skills
not at this young age? Because if you look at historically, and this is something we talking about in the past, if you look at historically, all the best premier athletes were multi-sport athletes. And they actually say, and there's a lot of arguments out there about this because everybody all of a sudden did the specialization. They only wanted to play baseball since they were 12. They only want to play, and it's not actually great for the kids. There's a lot of things with getting more experience out there. There's different muscle groups.
Yeah, but
there's different mentalities.
You're looking at that from the viewpoint of athletes like baseball players and football players and basketball players. I think if you look at the traditional people who are martial arts athletes, right? The Gordon Ryans, the Andre Galvez, they trained jiu-jitsu since they were a kid, right? And they may have branched out and done some other sports as well.
I think
you're looking at it from
traditionally, you're looking at a lot of wrestlers. A lot of wrestlers play football. Right, so you're looking at a lot of footballs and a lot of wrestlers.
I don't know that that's an accurate statement.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
We'll have to look at the numbers.
We
but
might,
a lot of wrestlers that I know played football.
I don't know that
because they're physical sports.
I don't know that that's accurate. Don't they happen at the same time?
What's that?
Don't they happen at the same time? Football season's during wrestling season.
What's that? Yeah, usually football season ends and wrestling season starts, so you have a little bit of that crossover. And then you got freestyle wrestling, which happens a little more in the summer, and then that's what's the big when you get in high school. I don't know that
traditional martial artists did other sports as well.
Well, I don't have
the numbers.
I know traditional martial arts. Again, the guy who.
But you rarely had. I mean, not all of the professional athletes were 4-sport superstars.
Not all.
They might have been 2-sport superstars, but
2, 3, 4.
Rarely were they
but they got into those other sports
All-Americans in baseball, soccer, football, and wrestling and basketball. And
I would
all
agree.
of those,
So there's two.
right?
Usually, when you get towards high school, there's 2 or 3 sports you end up concentrating on.
Why does the martial arts, which happens all year round, always play second fiddle? I don't want you to answer that question because we talked about this
because they happen all year long, right? Plain and simple, right? Because they happen all year long,
and that's
100% why. Because it allows
puzzling to me.
Well, here's the problem, and this is the problem. We talked about this. They happen all year long, so it's he can go to martial arts next month.
It's easy to just pull that away.
You're not missing anything, right?
Why? Yes, you are.
But no, you're not missing out on martial arts. If I take soccer this month and martial arts next month,
You're missing out on martial arts while you're doing soccer.
Correct, but I'm not missing out on martial arts total. If I don't do soccer and I just do martial arts and I'm missing out on soccer.
Why?
Because I didn't do soccer.
You can't go play soccer?
Huh?
Why has it got to be a team sport?
What's that? That's really where you're going to learn how you're going to play those sports. You're going to learn in practice.
But you don't care that they
teams.
learn it. You want them to have fun. That's what we talked about. You don't care that they're going to learn anything from martial arts.
No.
You don't care that they're going to learn anything.
They're going to learn stuff.
No, you just said you wanted them to be active. I asked you this specifically.
So
you brought this and said, I just want them to be active. I don't care what they learn.
So let me detail out that a little bit because I thought it was kind of obvious. Obviously, I want them to learn how to learn stuff in martial arts, right?
Okay.
Right, and I want them to learn more than just, hey, I'm going to punch and kick, right? How to deal with people,
hopefully.
All the stuff that goes along with it, the discipline, everything else.
Mm-hmm.
That same kind of thing happens in those other sports, right? I want my kid to learn how to throw a baseball. I want to learn how to throw a football.
Sure.
Right. I want him to learn how to do that, and sometimes I want to learn how to do that in a structured setting. I want to learn how to play football. Right. I want to learn how to play soccer. Learning how to play soccer on a soccer team. I played soccer when I was I played in high school a little bit, like terrible until I was 10th grade. It wasn't very good, but I can go and pick up soccer tomorrow and know what's going on.
Sure.
Right. Now, we played basketball a lot growing up, right?
Sure did.
But I never played organizationally wise.
I only did in like 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah. So I never played organizationally wise. So when it comes to those kind of things, I would go on other courts and there were certain things that I could figure out enough to play.
Sure.
But like set plays that are obvious or your screen pass, when you should cut, you shouldn't cut.
Pick and rolls, all that.
Yeah, a lot of stuff I don't know, right? And it doesn't really hinder me, but I could see it sometimes that other kids would know that and they could play a little bit better. So I want my kids to be able to learn that, right? I want them to be able to, as their pickup game in basketball, hopefully be able to play, right?
It sounds like you want to pawn your kids' education in sporting events off on other people.
I want to make sure that they get the correct information.
Okay.
Right? So I want to do that stuff with them.
You don't think you can correctly teach them how to play soccer?
I think I could teach them
play around, play catch?
Yeah, I could teach them how to play catch.
My kid's going to play catch. Yeah. I can already play catch all day, every day.
Yeah, I can teach them to play catch.
And throw a baseball.
Right? Yeah.
Right?
So a
little football.
Yeah, we play catch.
So
we do those kind of things.
Why does it matter that they learn plays over jiu-jitsu, or not jiu-jitsu, or over something that's a little more generalized year-round?
I don't necessarily think it's not.
What if they were into gymnastics? Gymnastics is year-round all the time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
again,
you pull them out of gymnastics, say, hey, you know what? You don't get to do gymnastics now because you want to play soccer.
No.
Is it their call?
So again, yeah, it's their call. So again, it's not. So again, if they're doing gymnastics, right, as an example, they're doing gymnastics. You say, hey, I also want to play baseball. Right? We'll sit down and talk about, hey, you only have, let's say, 3 days a week that you go to practice.
Sure.
If you're going to play baseball, the rules of baseball are you have to be there every day for practice. Right? You can't just say I'm going to come 2 days if that's the case.
Sure.
Right? Then that conversation has to go. You have to quit gymnastics for a certain period of time.
You let them decide.
We'd have the conversation together. Yes.
Okay.
Right. And again, some of it's going to obviously financially. If we signed a contract that it said, hey, we'd have to do this in their age.
So what if right now, Eli said to you, I want to wrestle.
Okay.
And wrestling happens every day that this taekwondo stuff happens or this martial arts stuff happens. And he was serious about it. I want to freaking wrestle.
Yeah.
Wrestling's a small season. Right?
Sure.
Short season for school. He wants to wrestle for school, whatever school he goes to. But you just signed this contract.
Sure.
What do you do?
So again, we have to have this is a little hard because of the kids.
So you have the conversation.
We have the conversation.
And he says, I want to do it.
We have the conversation.
I understand I'm not doing martial arts.
We have to understand. So there's a couple different things here, right? So I guess it would depend on the conversation on, am I going to break this contract?
Yep.
If I'm going to break the contract, then that conversation's a little longer because now all of a sudden he can't go back to that school. Right?
Correct.
He can't go back to that school.
Why? You couldn't re-sign up? You break the contract, you're out? I don't believe it works that way. But nonetheless.
If I do it once, yes. Right? Probably fine.
Okay.
If I try to do it again and again and again.
Sure.
Right? So that's what this is leading to.
So because there's a contract, are you telling me I should probably sign these kids up for contracts?
Oh, you definitely should. Right? That's a different conversation.
Interesting.
Listen, all of this you should know is we're opening up a Taekwondo school for children next week.
Interesting.
No. And
So,
again, so
because you made the decision to get locked into it, you're
correct.
that weighs more.
There's some financial implications that we have to have that conversation.
Okay.
If you take those out,
Yep.
right, and or if
He
you
can
say,
go wrestle.
or he can go wrestle. If he just decided, if say I don't care that I'm going to waste the extra
He
money that I'm
loves
doing
it.
a month
But
wrestling.
he loves martial arts, but
Yeah.
he hears about wrestling and he loved that too.
Yeah. So wrestling.
But when you signed him up for the martial arts, did you tell him, hey, you're going to miss out on some things?
No, I just signed
But
him
he
up.
might.
We didn't have that conversation. We just
Why
signed him
is
up.
there only certain conversations to be had then?
Well, because that's probably a conversation. Because I
you were like, we'll wait. We'll wait.
Yeah.
We'll wait till you try to swindle this one.
Yeah. You know, some things you no, but if he was going to sign it, say wrestling was 2 months long,
Okay.
right? I wouldn't have him switch now, and now was a good time.
But what if wrestling was
fall.
just starting?
Wrestling's in fall, so we
Yeah,
use that
yeah.
as an example, right? So he's got
Okay.
only because part of the reason of signing this contract is because we're not doing anything else for the next couple of months,
Sure.
right? So, but fall starts, everything opens up. He wants to wrestle,
Yep.
right? Now all of a sudden he wants to wrestle, and I'm still paying I'm not going to end the contract. This is going to be the hypothetical.
Yep.
I'm going to be wasting money for the next 3 months.
You'd let him not do the taekwondo and the martial arts?
If he had to pick one for that time, and if again, it matters financially,
Sure.
right? Wrestling is relatively cheap, to be honest, because it's run by the school.
Well, what if it
I got to
wasn't?
buy
What if it
uniform.
costs the same thing that taekwondo did?
Then no, you'd have to pick one, right? Because there's a financial aspect. I'm not rich. If I'm
But you
loaded,
could cancel the
what's that?
taekwondo.
Well, I would have to cancel the taekwondo.
Would you?
What's that?
Would you?
I would have to have that long conversation. But if he said
Okay,
yes,
so
I definitely want to do
You
this.
keep saying this long conversation. The kid wants what he wants. He's not going to change his mind
That's
unless
not
you
true.
try to trick him.
Unless
you try to trick him.
I would try. I would
You
try
try
to make sure.
sway him. You has all the information he needs.
Yes.
If it's his decision, you're
Yes.
going to have a long conversation.
And I'm going to sway
You
him
keep
to the
saying
option that I believe that is going to be the most accurate. So if I think he's going to hate wrestling, right?
But he loved it the last time.
He liked it. He didn't like it as much as he likes this other stuff.
But let's assume he loves it.
But baseball.
It's something
right?
he really wants to do.
He really wants to do. Yeah. Again, so he has to understand the fact that if he goes to baseball, that it'll be hard for him to go back to that school ever again,
Okay.
right? And again, maybe we cancel baseball, maybe we go back to that school, and it becomes another conversation. And this is where it becomes hard for the way that I want to do things and the way I want to get their
hear
input. It becomes
I
huge.
hear the struggle.
Because it becomes a struggle. Because is he old enough to really understand the consequences of
I
quitting?
hear the struggle.
At 8, maybe he is at 9, maybe not. Maybe it's not till 10 or 11. He's not there, and the struggle is there. So
Why can't he do just what you tell him to do and then learn to love that? Because he will.
I don't
will.
I don't believe that.
Is he the one who had the brilliant idea to go do martial arts somewhere?
Yeah.
It was his idea.
Yeah, he actually think it was Devletta's idea. It was my wife's idea.
Okay, so it wasn't a kid's
but
idea.
But
it wasn't a kid's idea.
No. Let me take that back. He
might have went to a party there and said, "Hey, I want to do this forever. I want to do this for a really long time." And
I think he asked about
and
it.
he goes, "Dad, can you sign me up for that?" And just like a kid who said, "Hey, can you buy me that stuffed animal?" You're like,
Sure.
"No, I'm not buying you that
Yeah.
stuffed animal." So, but maybe it was his piqued interest.
Correct.
But you got the ball rolling with
Yes.
signing him up for
Yes.
this. Okay. Why didn't you just ignore it?
What's that?
Why didn't you just ignore it?
I thought it was a good idea.
Like we ignore our kids all
Sure,
the time.
all the time.
Right?
Yeah. I thought this was a good
why
idea.
was this one a good idea and not signing him up for soccer or wrestling or baseball?
Well,
why was martial arts the pick for him?
He likes it. So if we go back,
of course he fucking liked it.
No,
He didn't know anything about it before he signed up for it and wanted to do it.
Well, no,
he likes it now.
So we've done the wrestling. We've
Yep.
done the jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Right. And he kept asking about jiu-jitsu. When's jiu-jitsu coming back? When's
COVID-
jiu-jitsu coming back? When's jiu-jitsu coming back?
sucks.
Right. So and then we had the conversation about when it could come back.
But you could have
right?
picked something that didn't require a contract.
So hold on. So we had the conversation, and if we're going to be serious about this, we had the conversation, when's jiu-jitsu going to come back? We had a candid conversation where
We
you
did.
said,
Listen,
I don't think jiu-jitsu is
none
coming
of
back.
this is reflecting bad
Right?
against
No,
him
it's
not
not.
coming back to jiu-jitsu.
No.
That's fine.
You're asking the thing,
Yeah.
and I think this is going way off topic here.
Whatever.
Right? But you asked the conversation. We had the conversation. We weighed the options of what was available, what I think he would like,
Yep.
and what he'd be interested in.
Yep.
He loves the jiu-jitsu. He loves the wrestling.
Yep.
He loves, when he had his small experience in taekwondo,
Yep.
or whatever this was, punching and kicking, he loved it. Perfect fit. Right?
Okay.
We're going to sign you up. Perfect.
Was it a perfect fit because both kids could do it? How much did that weigh into it?
I was actually worried that the second one would not like it, much
Okay.
similar to jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
So it's a better fit because they both love it,
Okay.
right? But they're at different times now. So that perfect fit, that perfect match went away. It's
Right,
actually kind of a
right,
headache.
right.
So again, it's more of a choice. So kind of really getting off topic here.
No,
But
yeah, I get it. So, everybody out there listening or watching, I want your opinion on this. Not where we diverged off to at the end, but why we don't see more traditional martial artists who care about self-defense and care about their ability to be effective in those kind of scenarios, why we don't see more Taekwondo people shifting over to Jiu-Jitsu, or Muay Thai for that matter, if you're a Muay Thai guy, why we don't see that. I want your opinion on that. And I want to know if, I don't necessarily care if you agree with Kevin or agree with me. I want your thoughts on this. And I want why you think people don't break out from what they know and jump into something different, even though I think the UFC has shown that grappling in general is popular and effective. And, you see, some of the best MMA fighters are jiu-jitsu based, and they were early on. Why you don't think we see more of that? And there are some jiu-jitsu schools that are huge, by the way, right? Yeah. Let's not and I don't see that at our jiu-jitsu school. People coming in all the time and going, hey, I did Taekwondo for a really long time and it's stupid and it sucked and I want something that's going to be a little more effective. And in my research, I found jiu-jitsu. I don't see that a lot. I do see a lot of people who don't know anything about anything going, hey, I'm a brand new beginner, but I liked what jiu-jitsu has, so I want to check that out. And maybe that's a factor or a byproduct of what Kevin tried to talk about, that martial arts, quote unquote, Taekwondo are kids programs and it's an immediate turnoff to an adult, right? Which I concur with that wholeheartedly. But I want your opinion on that. And whether you post it in YouTube for the video, hopefully the video works out this time. I keep screwing it up. Or you post it in Facebook or you post it on the Instagram post. I'm curious to hear what you think about this. And if you have a long traditional martial arts background and you haven't switched over to jiu-jitsu, I'd like to know why as well. Or you haven't switched over to judo or something, a little more MMA centric, or you haven't transitioned to MMA. I'd like to know why. We train with some guys who have vast karate experience, who switched over to jiu-jitsu post black belt in karate, right? I did post black belt in Taekwondo. We have some people who have done that. So I'm just curious, why did you make the jump? Or conversely, why didn't you make the jump? Kevin, we'd just like you to come back to jiu-jitsu after having your wiener cut off. And, within the next, week or two, hopefully you get back. And
I think we're going to have part 2 in this conversation because I think, unfortunately, we got off a little tangent. There's a lot more
we did
to what's happening there with what's going on.
Yeah,
so.
I want to. So everybody out in podcast world, thanks for listening. And you guys can have a sigh of relief that Kevin
I'll be back.
He's still alive after his vasectomy. Is that a vasectomy?
Yes,
okay.
That's correct.
Kevin's vasectomy. Anyway, be on the lookout for the next episode. Thanks, guys.